At Play School, we know kids love our dinosaurs because they've made them the most popular ones in history.
We've got Play School dinosaurs. They're big and strong and tough. Spines and teeth and tails. Jaws and horns and sails. We can play with them real rough.
And now we've made 8 more just as big and realistic, with parts that move and cavesters too. Play School's definitely dinosaurs.
Play School dinosaurs. They're big and strong and tough. We can play with them real rough. Ah, scared you, didn't I?
Rolling?
We're rolling this time. We're going.
Getting an extra late start tonight.
Extra late start.
We had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, we had to run out to the local Wawa, the supermarket.
24/7.
Yeah, to go get a extra. The little memory card wasn't working. It was saying no data. I'm like, computer. I was like, no data. What are you talking about?
Computer on.
What are you talking about, computer? We're here.
I was if you watch Star Trek the original series.
Yeah, you like that voice? It's real scary.
It's like sometimes the computer has like a decent voice, but on some episodes it has
Terrifying.
this awful computer on. Computer. And it's like, why would they program it to have that voice?
Yeah, it's just some weird questions.
It's the future. Clearly, they have the technology.
Well, they
voice
realize
prompt.
what's
why
it-
would that be the voice they choose?
Is it
computer on?
What is it? 100 years to next generation? What's the I don't know. But like at least by then they realize they got what's her faces in
I think
voice.
it might have been Majel Barrett or whatever in the first season. She was just doing a crazy voice.
Oh, you think
Nomad. All the computer voices are fucking intense.
Yeah, they're all crazy like that. Well, everybody's a little on edge. They're going out into the space for the first time. I had a question for you, but I don't remember now. We're back. Welcome to Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers.
Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers.
Doo-doo. Tonight's episode, the bike rack. I got in the mail from Amazon a Christmas.
Amazing.
Well, I got like a Christmas catalog, and I clearly think they're trying to hit up our demo. There's people. It's people our age who reminisce about the Sears
I'm
or
upset
JCPenney's
that
catalog.
I didn't get one. Nobody spends more money on Amazon
than this guy. With the 2 thumbs.
Who's got 2 thumbs and spends a shitload of money on Amazon?
This guy.
This guy right here.
Yeah, I got it, and it's so. You could tell it's by people who had it as a kid because it's done in such a way where it's completely a toy guide, and it's separated, of course, by genre or gender, and then in the middle of it they have stickers, and the stickers are like, awesome, I want that. This is what I want. And you take them, and the kid is going to go and sticker the hell. Yeah, I was like, gee, I'm taking this to the bathroom.
If
honey.
I get one, we should
do a toy
do
cast?
it and then bring ours,
Exchange it to each other,
and see which ones we.
Oh, we jointly wanted.
We like
oh, that's a good test to see if because we're getting into the Christmas season here. So that'd be exciting. So what have we been doing? Last week we did Coming to America. Last episode. That was fun. And I feel like we didn't even. I don't know. I always feel like walk away like we spent 2 hours on it. Or more.
We spent longer on it than the length of the movie.
Yeah, so we should be okay. But I felt like there was other things we didn't get to. But you can only get to so much.
Yeah, I think some movies just don't have as much stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Like tonight's movie, for instance. There's just not a lot of information because, as you, the listeners, know, the show's kind of sectioned off into a lot of interests. Big sections of the show are the making of the movie and trivial type information about the movie. And then, obviously, how we feel about it, and then memories and stuff like that. So having a big section be research-based, sometimes there's just movies that there's just not a lot of information to research.
Yeah, and we strive in this world to make those movies have a lot of research.
Yeah.
But
sometimes you just can't find it. Or
Yeah.
we run out of time. Dude. Can't.
Oh, that happens all the time where we do all this research and then we pop the DVD and then there's like 6 or 7 massive documentaries on it. Like, who knew when we tried to do Alien that time that there was a documentary 6 hours long?
Yeah.
You better put the coffee on.
Blade Runner has
Blade
like
Runner.
a 4-hour documentary.
Jesus.
Or 6, something like that.
Yeah.
Something crazy.
That, for me, was that Alien box set because there's like...
The quadrilogy.
Yeah,
back in the day.
there's freaking documentaries that 2-3 times as long as the actual movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's like watching paint dry. But that's in a good way. I'm not complaining. But it's just like, oh my God, it's overwhelming.
I find for those kinds of things, there's 2 kinds of featurette documentaries. There's the ones that are informative, and then there's the ones that are entertaining. And the ones that are really long tend to be more informative than entertaining.
Yeah.
But luckily, guys like us, who are total movie nerds, find that informative stuff entertaining.
Yeah. So we were able to...
I mean, it's a little dry, and sometimes it's hard to do a 6-hour run. You might have to split up into a couple of viewings.
Yeah.
But...
we have a unique taste. We've watched some dry stuff. There's, like you used to always say, Harlan County, USA, that documentary you'll never get back.
That's 2 hours I'll never get back.
I used to say that about Stalker, but I think I have a renowned love for Stalker. That used to be my go-to because that was so long at the time.
Yeah, well, that was like
what's it, Starkovsky?
Tarkovsky.
Tarkovsky. I throw some stusts in there as much as I can.
He's a star.
Yeah, I had I had a story I was going to tell you guys, and then I don't remember what the heck it was. Was it about a kid? It wasn't. Oh gosh darn it! I thought that'd be funny to say. Oh well, my mind's blanking because we had such a late start with everything tonight. So we got off of doing October. That was great.
We had our horrific October extravaganza.
And then we were like, you know what? We've been doing some hitting
a lot of big ones.
Yeah. We've been hitting some heavy movies prior to that. There's that word heavy again. So we were like, you know what? Maybe we should lighten the load.
What is this word? What's with this word heavy? Is there some kind of problem with the gravitational pull
in the future? And the end of the sea dance. Did we did that this year, didn't we?
I think we did do that.
Okay, I was going to say, didn't we do that? So we said, you know what? Why don't we lighten it up a bit? So last week we did Coming to America, which was great.
Well, yeah, because we were coming off of, obviously, like you said, October. So we did 4 horror movies.
Yeah.
And we didn't slip in any
extra.
No, you comedy.
Did, but you did, and then we had a surprise Score to Death crossover episode.
But we didn't do like a light horror movie.
No, we didn't
Sometimes
do.
We'll do
something funny or something different.
More for the kids.
Yeah, we did Hocus Pocus or Garfield.
So we kept it pretty straight with horror, and
they were anniversary. They were like quintessential. They were like pillars.
And Shadow was fun.
Yeah.
But then before that, it was like Bullet and Taken and Taken Pelham 1, 2, 3. It was a lot of kind of gritty, intense
guy movies,
So as we're
Star Trek 4,
as we're getting out of the summer and going into autumn and getting ready for the holiday season, we decided to lighten things up a little bit. So we did a classic last week.
Yeah.
And I'm going to call this one fucking classic.
This is classic. Before we even say the name, we're already, Grumpy Old Men.
This is a great movie to transition from
beautiful
November into December.
I was saying
season.
that. We hit Thanksgiving here. We hit Christmas here. We might even go through a whole year's time in that area because Christmas comes first. And then
there's
Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas again at the end.
No, I don't think it's Christmas first.
Maybe it's just
Thanksgiving, then Christmas, and then...
I thought at the beginning there was some Christmas music. Like during...
No, maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. When they were walking around the town. Maybe I just was watching something else. You
could be right.
The point is, this whole thing is extra late. And I could be wrong.
We spent several hours trying to figure out how to get the technological things back up and running.
Yeah, we kept unplugging it and plugging it in, and that wasn't working.
Yeah, turn it off.
turn it on. Unplug it. Look at it. Give it 20. Count to 20.
Blow into it. Slap it on your thumb.
Come on. Exactly. Slap it out. Come on. Put it in. Get your remote. Hold it in there. And
let me ask you. Obviously, that's a universal thing for video games.
I think that's over. This is for people over 35 or 30 because cartridges went out with what was it? I guess the N64 was the last cartridge. That was a big thing too at the time that. Because I read a book on this that they were saying that set Nintendo back a little bit because in the 90s everybody was going to disc format.
Yeah.
And Nintendo, batting down the hatch and said, we're going one more, and they put 64 out, one more thing.
Rolling dice.
Yeah, one more time with the cartridges.
One last ice.
Dad needs a new pair of shoes with your funky ass. Come on, Snake Eye. Ow, back to a little joke.
Well, here's my question is, because you had the Atari and you had the
ColecoVision, all kinds
NES
of
and all this stuff. And so it was universally
Sega.
Everybody blew into the bottom of it.
The cartridge.
Yeah, and slapped it up against their leg if they couldn't get it to play
The
right.
video game. Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is pre-internet.
Yes.
So it wasn't like we were Googling. My cartridge isn't working.
Yeah, so how do I know? Yeah.
How did we all know to do this?
Was it the Nintendo, remember those game guides? What do you call those? Nintendo
Power?
Nintendo Power Magazine, was it?
I doubt Nintendo was advising you to
People
do that.
to do that. Or maybe the stores.
But somehow it was something collective. We were Borg.
We all realized.
We all our child minds put out this information to the collective of children all over the
Resistance
world.
is futile. We must be able to do. Yeah, I wonder because at the same time, you had the video stores going full stream, and they were. Remember, you'd have the option if the video store was crazy, you can rent a VCR, you can rent a video game player, you can rent something. So maybe that was part of their steps. If it doesn't work, I feel like we had to have, because we all kind of knew what to do. I mean, but it wasn't like we sat there and looked up at the stars and was like, what I think we should do.
I mean, I guess maybe they're logical steps to take.
Or maybe it was something that was a holdover from the Atari days. For all we know, we could have been doing that with our old, Atari. We're trying to get Atari, one of those games to work.
I'm just saying, at some point,
Tank.
We all figured out that that's what we were supposed to do.
And then you turn it on, it wouldn't click. Remember with the Atari, it wouldn't click, and it would make a weird screen. Turn it off. Turn it off! Before it blows the TV. Turn it back on! Hey, what are you doing? He goes, or I remember with Nintendo, if you didn't do it right, it would start flashing.
Yeah.
The light, so it didn't get a solid connection. It was
I will say though, I mean, I don't know if I was to hook it up now if it would work as well, but I never really had a problem with Nintendo. I took very good care of my NES and all the games. I had the cleaner.
Of course.
And you had the stick where you clean out the cartridges, and then you moisten the cleaner cartridges, and you stick it in the machine, and you kind of wiggle it in there.
And then you hit. I wonder if that was just all a bunch of BS. Because all it is really is, I think, in there is you're just getting what do you call that stuff? Rubbing alcohol.
I remember when I was living in Portchester post college.
Yeah.
With a bunch of guys. Summer of Ray, as it's affectionately known for me and my friends that lived together. I came home from work, and we all had all our systems up in the attic.
I remember this. You guys set it all up, right?
And I came home from work, and this guy, Ray, who moved in for the summer, set everything up onto his TV.
And he daisy-chained everything, right? So you have
we had it was the history of video games laid out on the floor on a 5x5 square on the rug, and
that's a little overwhelming.
And we would play all these games. And it was my Genesis and my NES and somebody else's Super Nintendo and this, that, and PS1 and all this shit. But everybody in that house was always amazed that you could just put the Nintendo cartridge into my NES and would push it down and put it on, and it would go on. There was you didn't need to blow it. You didn't need to smack it.
Was that the first time you? I'm sorry. Was that the last time you've done it?
It has. I haven't.
12 years ago.
Yeah, that was a year or two before we moved back in together in Yonkers.
Yeah, which was 05 to 06.
So that's the last time I tried it. But then that was the first time I had. It had been played for years.
Yeah. Well, I still have my Nintendo. I got myself a 64, around 2001 or so, just because I wanted to play GoldenEye. I still had I bought myself an Atari. But anyway, so I tried to hook these up fairly recently in the past 5 years, and the problem was the Nintendo worked fine because it's a coaxial hookup.
Yeah.
I think the 64 it's what do you call those? AV... RCA,
the
cape.
RCA.
But then with the Atari is you're going in with the adapter from the coaxial to the screw.
Yeah,
it has the
little fork.
The little fork. You have to
where your TV antenna would.
Yeah, and then when I was really little, I remember my dad bought basically he bought an AB switch, but back then that sucker was steel. It was I remember, and then he mounted it. Yeah, it looked like he would chrome, like he would polish in that thing.
And you had that in your breast pocket. And somebody shot you. The reveal at the end of the movie.
Oh my God, he has a Nintendo AB switch.
A slight dent.
Yeah, he has an Atari AB switch. Does it still work? And it had a what do you call one of those? It just had a metal rod. And the metal rod, you just from one side to the other. That's how
Yeah,
you know. And he mounted it on the back of the TV because it was a cabinet model television. So he just fucking
Drilled that shit.
and right in the back.
Don't worry about any
Yeah.
of the tube. Let the gas out of the tube.
And I'm like, suddenly watching Chips is a little more, whoa. So we had that on there. And I remember, because like Blake said, you'd have to hook it up to the antenna port.
Yeah.
You couldn't, it wasn't like it had auxes. So you had to buy, so we had an AB switches. You swip either from the antenna, to get the signal or to the thing. So I tried to hook that up recently on a TV, and I got an adapter. But the problem is that picture isn't designed for these flat screen.
Yeah.
You have to go 4x3. So what I had to do is I brought this up a couple podcasts ago, episodes where I had the TV VCR combo. I still have that. So I keep that because it's a tube TV, because it's the only thing that the Atari will work good on.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way, but I'm not a smart man. So I'm sure there's a way of, if kids are like, well, if you just put on a coaxial, flux capacitor and you can put it on and it'll work on your 4K. But how can, what's the little guy, freaking King Kong gonna look like on a 4K? The pixelated Donkey Kong, King Kong, Donkey Kong, little old King Kong.
You can't tell what it is anymore.
Yeah, who the hell knows? So why did we get on this thing? We're talking about hooking up, blowing cartridges. So we were talking about blowing this thing to get this thing to work. That's how you get things to work.
It's a good motivator for me.
Exactly. So, this movie, this is from, so it's fun that we did that Coming to America last week, because that was like ushering in kind of like the colder season in the Northeast. And then this year,
we went full balls out cold.
Yeah, cold. It's already there. Now we're in the winter seasons, and this takes place in Minnesota. But it's a real fun movie. And I remember when this came out back in 1993, and it's fun because it reunites Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau together, and they had, I think by this time was like the 6th or 7th movie they had done together, and they ended up doing 10 movies. They
I believe this was their 5th movie. Like, they had been in, I think there's movies that they had both been in, but this is like the 5th. I think the 5th actual
movie that they
did. Team up.
Yeah, they did JFK together, but that's the only movie that they appeared in together that they're not on screen
that's
together.
what I mean. It was that, and then there's some other movie where they're in the audience of like the Oscar awards.
Oh, it's like as a joke or something.
Yeah,
and then they end up doing 10 or so together. So it's funny seeing them, and then I try to remember like the first time. There's so many movies, and it's clearly we have memories because of this show we talk about all the time of like, when was the first time you saw this? Oh, I saw it. And so I was trying to think about when I first saw this, and I think at the time, this might have came on pay-per-view, because pay-per-view was big in the early 90s. So this is how I might have first saw this, when it hit pay-per-view, and because I remember seeing it quite a bit in that era before it went away, and that's probably because we had pay-per-view. So and then I can't even remember. I had to have seen the sequel.
Yeah.
But I can't remember too much the plot. Like, I remember the plot points very well of this movie. Mm-hmm. There's a scene we could talk about later on that really, gets me every time. And so I was trying to figure all that out. And by that time we already knew who Jack Lemmon is. We know who Walter Matthau is. We knew who Burgess Meredith is. So like all these, even Kevin Pollak at that time was in every movie under the sun in the 90s. Yeah, he had that contract that he had to be in everything. He's in Casino. He's in freaking Usual Suspects.
I think we all saw, at least me, I remember him being on talk shows, obviously promoting these types of things, and he does impressions.
He does a great Peter Falk as Columbo. He does some very Christopher Walken, but he kind of went away because for a while he was doing everything. He was in all these movies. It was like Paul Giamatti did that for like a second. And then Paul Giamatti's like, I'm going to just, take a pause. But so like I knew everybody coming, even Anna Margaret to a certain extent I knew. And then the sequel, is that Sophia Loren maybe?
Yeah. I mean, Anna Margaret's in it too.
Yeah.
But then they add Sophia Loren. I think she takes over what was the bait shop, to my recollection, and makes it an Italian restaurant.
Ossie Davis's place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good little we should watch that movie.
I mean, we should have done a double feature. But.
We should have done a double, especially since we have the double disc. If we just put the disc over, it's Grumpier Old Men. But I mean, I had seen them, of course. I probably saw Odd Couple, the movie, maybe in high school or prior to that.
Yeah.
I think it was probably one of those things where in school we did like a month of Neil Simon maybe, and we maybe read like Brighton Beach Memoirs, or we then in conjunction with reading one of his plays or something, we watched a couple of his movies, and I feel like Odd Couple would have been a movie that they showed in school. Yeah. So I'd known Odd Couple, and then of course, you know Odd Couple, the TV show growing up.
Yeah.
But with the two of them proper, and then I think after seeing Odd Couple is probably when I went back and like saw The Fortune Cookie and saw some of the see
together. Some of the other ones until more recently.
Okay.
Like not in the last couple of years, but probably in the last 10, 15 years as opposed to
prior to college.
I mean, Odd Couple I'd seen pretty early. I watched the show all the time in reruns, and then I feel like my stepdad rented The Odd Couple when I was maybe 10 or 11, and we watched it. So that one I got introduced to pretty early on, but it wasn't until much later where I watched Fortune Cookie, I think on Turner Classic Movies.
Yeah.
That they aired that, and I watched it. And then in 1993, this came out. This actually came out earlier than I thought it did going in when we went into this. For some reason, I felt like it was later. Maybe it's because the second one is 95, I think.
Yeah, 95 or
like
6.
I kind of felt like they were closer to the mid to late 90s.
Well, they did like Out to Sea, which I remember, but I don't think I've seen all the way through. Isn't Brett Spiner in that one too? I feel like he's the maitre d' on the boat.
That one I've never seen. I've seen The Odd Couple 2.
I feel like I've seen
unfortunately,
that. Bad.
Not very good.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen that. They did about 3 or 4
I think
movies.
It was written by Neil Simon, too.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. But it was just such a... what is that? Is that 40-year difference?
Yeah,
maybe?
Well, that's 98.
98 to 68, right? So that's... what is that? That's
40 years.
40 years.
No, 30 years.
It's like carried a 2 to 1.
30 years.
Yeah. And I'd worked at a video store during college, so I saw the front page when that came out on DVD.
Yeah.
So I've only seen that once.
I always loved His Girl Friday, so that was
an incentive to
check that out. So that one I saw, but that was probably not even until college or shortly after college when I finally saw that.
Yeah, and I didn't see all the. I feel like I've seen The Odd Couple 2. I know I've seen Grumpier Old Men. I might have saw a little of Out to Sea.
But for some reason in my head this movie was later, and I think it's partially in my head later because I remember going out to dinner with my dad, and it was around the time that Mask of Zorro came out.
The Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Antonio Banderas.
And Antonio Banderas.
Full disclosure, I've never seen that movie all the way through.
And I think maybe we saw it, maybe he and I went to go see it at the movie theater. Anyway, we're sitting there talking, and we were talking about how, and, this was a conversation that was, a long time ago. And so to the huge Mask of Zorro fans out there, please don't be upset by this conversation I had with my dad.
20 years on.
But we were talking about how ridiculous the casting of Anthony Hopkins was as Zorro.
I remember you telling me this. This is how funny how stories get recycled, because he's supposed to be the leader who trains the Antonio.
He's like the original Zorro. I haven't seen that movie since the theater.
And you're mad because they should have casted George Hamilton.
No, well,
who's the original Zorro?
He would have been better, but we were like,
the game
who could you
Zorro.
cast as the old guy? And we were thinking at that point he was old, but maybe Tony Quinn.
Yeah,
would have been an
Anthony
interesting
Quinn
choice.
Great.
And so we were talking, and then somehow it came up. And I said as a joke, and to this day, I can say it to my dad, and he'll remember that story, and we'll laugh about it. I said, grumpy old Zorros. And it was this idea of having like Walter Matthau and Jack
He's
Lemmon
coming!
be the old Zorro. And so grumpy old Zorros is this joke that I have with my dad now, 20 years later or whatever. And so in my head, it's closer to Zorro
premiere,
which was like 97, 98, I think. And with this idea of grumpy old Zorros, it's like is connected to this movie in my head.
It's a great idea to have the two of them battling. It's kind of like a what's that name of the Freshman? You can do it like that, where it's like the two of them are the ex-Zorros and they're trying to help the guy to get the girl. So it's like a Cyrano de Bergerac kind of meets, and he's like, "Come on, yes."
Now, a couple years ago, maybe 5 years ago, this and the second one were on maybe HBO on demand or on Netflix or something. And there was a weekend where, because I don't think I had seen either. I think I saw Grumpy Old Men in the theater, oddly enough.
Yeah.
I must have gone with my parents. I can't remember if it was with my mom and my stepdad or my dad. But I feel like I saw the first one in the theater and then rented the second one. But I hadn't seen them since those first viewings. And about 5 years ago or so, they were on TV. They were on demand. And I was like, you know what? I have a weekend. There's nothing to watch.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a double feature. And I did it. And I feel like I told you after. Maybe it was less than 5 years ago, because I feel like after I watched them, I thought I texted you and said we should do one of these on the show at some point.
Well, I remember you telling me that because I didn't remember.
So it must have been less than 5 years ago, because the show hasn't been around.
Well, you brought up about it being, at some point it hits Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And that was a couple years ago. We were thinking about like, hey, we can maybe do it around Thanksgiving. But then I had a memory that it had of course, that it's all snow, but I thought it had Christmas something in there.
It was Christmas at the end for sure.
Yeah.
Because that's when Daryl Hannah and her husband come.
Yeah, for Christmas Eve, and there's little, yeah.
And Kevin Paul comes over with the broccoli.
Yeah. So I remember that. I haven't seen, again, I don't remember the sequel but I bet you it's one of those ones where if I sit down and watch it,
I think they'll come back to you as you watch.
I had forgotten. I thought it was Sophie Loren in this one. I forgot it was Anne Margaret I forgot who the girl was. So then I guess it makes sense to having her be the sultry one. And then now that you said that she turns the beach shop into an Italian
that's
place,
my recollection.
I think that you're right. And then they're like going, yeah. I think that's the whole kind of shtick.
I think that was probably Burgess Meredith's last movie.
Yeah, he does a voiceover work in as the narrator in the, what is that?
In G.I. Joe the movie.
In G.I. Joe the movie. No. In the Legend of Vagabonds. That golf movie with Tim
Conway.
Tim Conway as Bork or Dork.
There goes golf.
Yeah. Hello there. We're gonna go golfing here. Yeah. Burgess Meredith in the end of his life. I
don't know why Tim Conway popped into my head.
He was doing a lot of weird. He was doing Super Dave. Remember Super Dave? He was doing a lot of that. No, I'm kidding. This all a lie. But he was the narrator for the Legend of Bagger Vance, which is like 2001 or so, like that. I mean, Burgess Meredith. Let's see. We've had Walter Matthau already sleep over like
early
6 months ago,
year,
or less than 6 months ago. We did the Taking the Pill 1, 2, 3.
So we went the show. We're into our fourth year, into our fifth year of the show,
2014. So that means we're in our fifth year technically, because we're going now.
So we're in our fifth year.
Yeah.
And we hadn't done a John Landis movie. We hadn't done an Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah.
And then we hadn't done a Walter Matthau movie, but now we did Blues Brothers and Coming to America, 2 John Landis movies this year, and now 2 Walter Matthau movies this year.
Yeah. And this is now so we have Walter Matthau, this is his second appearance. Jack Lemmon, I think this might be his first appearance, if I'm not mistaken. And then this makes Burgess Meredith's 5th appearance on our podcast, because
we did Rocky.
We did Rocky 1, G.I. Joe the movie 2, State of Grace 3.
Oh
yeah. This is 4, and there is a 5th one that we did too, which I can't remember for the life of me now. That he had a little cameo in, and I was like, oh, Santa Claus the movie.
Oh yeah.
He plays Father Christmas that renews the thing. So this is the 5th.
God bless him.
So he's starting to hit over John Carpenter as trying to be the most. He's getting up there.
It's dangerous to sleepover movies.
Yeah, and you know what? I would. There's a whole bunch of other movies that he's in. Like you and I are both fans of Burnt Offerings.
Yeah.
I would love to do at some point Batman '66, the movie version of that. On here. So it's like he's got a couple other really good things in his catalog. But to think he's been on 5 times.
Classic Twilight Zone episodes.
As well as he's the narrator for and we just talked, that's a hit back to last week.
Oh, he narrates the first one, the movie.
The movie, yeah. He plays the Rod Serling part, and he narrates all the, because he ties on the old Twilight Zone show, he ties with, I think, Jack Klugman. Burgess Meredith has 4 appearances in the Twilight Zone series, different episodes, and so does Jack Klugman. So then when they got Burgess Meredith to narrate the 1982, I think it is, theatrical movie, which I said the
That's
live
right,
action
I
movie.
completely forgot about that until you mentioned it, and then I could hear it.
Yeah. Submitted for your approval. I can't do it. I heard this man. Quack, quack. Waiting for you. P.N. Gwynn. So he's been on. And then, and in all these guys, it's like, it's weird. I always start stuff off. It's weird.
Yeah, I do the same thing.
We're getting older now. And I'm not telling myself we're getting older. My body's telling me we're getting older. I can't drink like I used to. I can't fuck like I used to. I'm kidding. I can't. I go home. I go home. Carlito.
Yeah. I was going to say, if we didn't say Carlito, how many people would get that reference?
Carlito wasn't even done that. I can't home. I can't fuck. Carlito. So, my point is that where I work at my day job,
Late.
it was very late. Where I work at my day job, I get an influx of young people coming in as interns and script runners and stuff. So I keep talking. It's like the joke used to be like, every year we get a batch of new like college girls and we get older. They stay the same age and we keep getting older. So I'm talking to these young people, and it's like people who now I'm friendly with. I've been friends with for a couple of years. I know a girl who's 25. I won't mention her name. And when Burt Reynolds died, she didn't know who Burt Reynolds was. And it's like you start mining these people, and it goes back kind of to like last week's episode of you on Coming to America. Will people see these kind of movies? Will white audiences see black movies or anything? And it's like now I feel like there is a big discrepancy of history with younger people now because they're growing up in the era of internet, in the era of streaming and options. They don't need to learn this stuff. So there's a lot of stuff that our generation, maybe people slightly younger than us, like maybe the cutoff is like 35, unless you're like we are. We're old souls, so we like old stuff. Yeah. But there's people like when we were growing up, if you didn't like them, you still would know who Jack Lemmon is. You still knew who Walter Matthau is.
Well, yeah, we've talked about this with like Grease.
Yeah.
The kinds of movies that probably even the things like the Blob remake, things that are remakes of things in the 50s, and we've talked about how for some reason our generation has a tie to those decades past in a way that we presume or assume that the youth of today doesn't have that. Yeah. Like we grew up knowing who like Chuck Berry and Chubby Checker were. Yeah. Well, it was like spoon-fed to us. And knowing the music and
all the shows are on syndication, and then you've only got about 10 channels or how many channels you have. So it's like it goes back to that bigger argument of that, because you had less options back then, you're going to know who everybody is.
We were a captive audience
for everything, for movies, and television,
so
music.
In a weird way, you're right. We were kind of force-fed things, or that was what was there. So
for lack of a better term,
and so it's a weird thing because now they have, maybe it's just lack of limitation.
Yeah, they have a freedom to now they can watch whatever the hell they want.
Watch whatever they want
in whatever language, in what other country.
Even though they can, if they chose to, be educated in the entertainment of our youth and the youth of our parents the way we were. They just maybe doesn't occur to them to do so.
There's two things there. There's the fact that they're not educated for the most part in stuff like this, and then and this is not a hit on them, but there's no motivation to go learn about stuff. Like people don't know who it's weird because it's like, and I could say, I'm sure you could say the same thing. Like when we were little, did we know who Lawrence Welk was or Kay Kaiser? If you start getting niche guys like Ray Noble or people prior to rock and roll in the era of getting out of the I mean basically because with the jazz movement and all that kind of stuff, that kind of pushed all the folk, all that whatever the music was prior to the 19th to 20th century. That was the biggest thing until like jazz kind of hit in the teens and 20s. So then so a lot of us don't remember like Scott Joplin or these people who
we would know some of the songs.
But we may not know
who did it.
Or then at the era it's like it's like our Harry James. Like there's people that now as we may not know them. So I wonder.
I mean, we know them, but as a kid, we would know.
Yeah, or some people our age might not even know some of these people now. But it's only because we have an affinity for maybe this kind of music that lends itself to that kind of. I'm using that as an example to show like so now these people. So maybe that could be an excuse why they don't look back and they don't know. But some of this is fairly recent, where it's like this is only 20 years ago. So I just feel like maybe there's so much content out there that you're not caring. The music nowadays, there's so much music out there. You don't need to go back. I mean, classic rock. It's like now they're playing like Red Hot Chili Peppers on I'm like, is Red Hot Chili Peppers? I guess technically it is classic rock because in the 80s and 90s when I'm listening to like classic rock, they're playing The Doors. That's only 20, 15 years old if you think about it. So it's just a weird time.
I mean, at least I did. I think you did too, and I think most people our age also, but even had a tie to things like silent comedies and silent movies in a way. I remember, obviously because it was being cooked in the books. Laurel and Hardy, I mean,
you had the Three Stooges cartoon show, and that was past their debt. You had Laurel and Hardy coming up on Scooby-Doo.
There was also this show that would be on so early on Saturday mornings, and I would get up so early at my grandmother's house because my grandparents got up at like 3 o'clock.
Yeah, they got up with the birds because they realized we don't sleep much. We're at the twilight of our years.
There used to be this show on, at least in Philadelphia. I don't know. I don't remember the name of the show or anything, but it was something like it took place in a newspaper press office, and it was kids. And then there was a segment in the show that they would play a silent short.
Is it the one where you're talking about, like the one where they would put on, not Kids Incorporated, but there used to be a show I was fascinated with, that it was kind of like a Bugsy Malone where it was all kids, but they would put on a TV. They were like at a TV station.
Maybe it was that. In my head, it was a newspaper, but it could have been a TV station.
And then they were like, the behind the scenes was all kids producing it, and then you'd have like 2 kid anchors.
I just remember there's like visuals.
Yeah, so you're saying they would go to like these segments.
At some point in the show, there would always be a segment where they would show
a silent
short.
And it's probably because they were in public domain. So like, okay, we can get that footage. So it's like,
so it would be like
what's his face, Lloyd hanging off. The clock.
Sometimes the big ones, sometimes lesser known stuff. There's always.
Fatty Arbuckle.
And so like that's where kind of my fascination with silent comedy kind of started, just because of this exposure to it on this show that used to be on at 5 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday.
Because then Blake, and then when we were in college, his junior film, you did an homage to like Buster Keaton
I became
comedy.
obsessed with Buster Keaton.
Yeah, so you did like your own silent movie, purposefully, so to as an homage to that comedy.
But I guess it really is just all exposure.
But I wonder if it was cooked in the books too, because the people who were making that programming was of the age of that was still their era.
Yeah.
But that's odd because in our era, like it's like the other day I was walking down the road and I saw that I guess now like the 80s is like when we were in high school and in the early odds, the 70s was in fashion. Yeah. Now the 80s is in fashion. So I rolled my eyes and I was like, oh my God, if a couple of years the 90s is going to come back, I'm going to kill myself. It's just like, with the parachute pants and all those crazy colors, it's like, we're already there that we're going to now be, missing the 90s and then the odds. It's like, so I don't know if it's just, then also there's 50% of people our age who I could say probably wouldn't know who these people are either. And, we have an educated audience that listens to us, and people are here because they like this kind of thing to begin with. They didn't just happen by on the radio dial our podcast. So,
well, I was reading.
So there's, like you say, there's people like my old roommate, my good friend from growing up that you lived with for a short period of time too, Mike Stratton, who he's not into movie. He likes movies, but he's more into sports.
Not a movies guy. Yeah.
He's into sport. He's a math guy in his head, and he was an accountant. He worked for like Wall Street or whatever. So it's like, he likes sports and stuff, but he wasn't So I'm sure there's a segment of people out there that are our age and don't even know this stuff either. But they may know the crap out of football, baseball, hockey, rugby.
Yeah. I was looking to see. I realized I didn't have Psycho on Blu-ray.
The Gus Van Sant version.
I had it as part of a box set on DVD.
Yeah.
Like a big souped-up Hitchcock thing, but I didn't have it on Blu-ray. And so I was reading the reviews of which one should I get. And I was on Amazon and I was reading the reviews. And there was all these reviews from people that were like, it's okay for an old movie.
Seriously.
Yeah, I just bought it because I wanted to have it in my collection of horror movies, but, and there was all this stuff about it being this old movie and how it's okay for an old movie. And I was like, what? Well, this Psycho's a perfect example, and we'll retell the story whenever we get back to Psycho. But I remember I saw my first viewing of Psycho. I was I was probably I don't know. I was little, but I probably wasn't younger than 10. I would guess I was between maybe 9 to 12-ish. And I was at my grandmother's house, and I would watch. They lived in the basement because my grandfather had a stroke, so he couldn't go up the stairs. So they kind of made the basement so that it was made over. There was even a kitchen in the basement. It was like almost like 2 units.
Yeah.
And so they kind of just lived in the basement. There was this whole upstairs that we never went to.
Yeah.
Sometimes when my brother would sleep over, he would sleep upstairs.
This is where the doll room was?
That was my grandfather's house. Had clowns. Had a room of clowns. Which my brother says isn't true, but that's my recollection. That's a whole other story for another time.
Okay.
That's for when we do
for the
It.
poltergeist.
That's when we do Poltergeist or It.
Yeah.
And so they would be watching the news, and I'd be sitting in the kitchen in the basement watching something on a screen that was...
Yeah, it's like 3 inches. It's like watching it on your...
on your phone.
Yeah.
You know, one of those old TVs, you got to dial it in.
Yeah.
It has a radio, FM radio, and a screen.
I saw that the other day. I was watching a movie, and it was they were in a hotel, an old movie, and it was like they had the radio on. I was like, honey, see? The TVs used to be radios in the hotel room. Sorry. That's fascinating.
And it was on PBS.
Yeah.
It was in Philadelphia, so it was Channel 12.
Yeah.
Because in Philadelphia, they don't say PBS.
Yeah.
They go, it's on Channel 12.
Yeah. That's how us in Connecticut was Channel 13.
Yeah. So, and it was on, it was just starting. And I'm watching on this tiny little screen. And for some reason, I felt that this was an important viewing.
You knew that.
I guess maybe I had heard it. It was black and white. There was something about it that was like, I can't watch it on this tiny little screen.
Yeah.
Now, I was a little kid, and I was afraid to go up into the upstairs by myself. I don't know why. It was just creepy. It was like old furniture. Felt like it was hermetically sealed.
It wasn't used.
Nobody had the couch was like nobody had ever sat on it before.
The shadows
It was
moved.
a beautiful couch from like 1955.
Yeah.
And there was no plastic cover on it. It was just perfectly, the rug wasn't all worn because nobody walked around up there.
It looked brand new. Looked just vacuumed.
And there was an old TV, and you'd have to turn it on and then wait like 10 minutes.
Yeah, wait for it to warm up
as
the tubes.
And there was a little console on the floor with knobs where you could turn it, and it would turn the arrow on the ceiling.
Oh, wow.
On the roof.
Yeah, what direction you want. That's they dropped some money back then to get that option with the antenna.
So I ran upstairs. I feel like I need to watch this, even though I'm afraid to go upstairs at night.
Yeah.
I'm going to go upstairs and watch a horror movie.
Yeah.
I turn on the TV.
It was at nighttime?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I run back downstairs because I got to wait for the TV to warm up, and I didn't want to miss any of the movie.
What's Blake doing? Don't worry. Let him have his fun.
And then I went up and I watched Psycho. But this was like that kind of age. It was that age. And it blew my mind. And here it's depressing to read reviews on Amazon. So I went up and I watched Psycho by myself.
Yeah.
And my grandparents.
Did you love it?
It was certainly memorable. And
Yeah.
it certainly made a huge impact on me.
It's weird. I wonder then.
So it's depressing to be like, at 10, I realized that this was important. Then to read a customer review on Amazon that's like, I don't normally watch old movies, but it was okay.
I wonder there's an air of pompousness to younger people, and I don't know if they even know like that, like the know-it-all kind of a thing.
Oh, sure.
And this transcends just entertainment. It goes anything. You know, you could talk about politics, religion, life.
You knew me in my youth, so
I did.
And this is spiritual. I came a long way.
You have.
When I hit 30, I realized
I'm still friends with you.
I don't know anything. I thought I knew everything.
But it's so But I feel like more. You know, this generation. It's a lot of that, like, you know, we don't need to watch that, and that I see that a lot of with older movies to these people are like prior to 1990 or 2000. You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Breakfast Club. I don't watch old movies.
Yeah, you know, or and then like you're saying, if God forbid it's black and white, you know, won't even be entertained, and then so it's weird to see people nowadays, like you're saying, that are of the age to think of writing these things. Then they're going on and they're now just like salting up the comment sections of movies because they don't like it because of whatever reason.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't good because it's black and white, or it's
I
good
mean,
for an old movie, and you're like, what the hell? So like this, I don't even know if A Grumpy Old Man would hold anybody's interest.
and that's in the 90s.
Yeah.
Not even to mention something like Fortune Cookie or The Odd Couple.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, going back to the 60s, yeah.
You know, I watched The Odd Couple not too long ago. It was on Turner Classic, and I turned it on, and it was not at the beginning, but it was, you know, maybe a third.
I couldn't tell you last time I've seen that.
And I sat and I watched it, and that shit is them together.
Oh, they're great.
It's magic.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to think that, you know, that was based on a play.
Odd Couple.
And Walter Matthau was in the play.
With Art Carney.
But Art Carney played Felix.
And I don't know I have Art Carney's bio and I want to read it. And I don't know if it was something, because he struggled with alcoholism into the 60s, his whole life, I think. But then when he did Harry and Tonto in the early 70s that he got an Academy Award for, I think that's when it came out. He said, I'm an alcoholic, Art Carney. Yeah. So that might have contributed to why he didn't then go and do 4 years. Because I think the play is 65 on Broadway, Odd Couple, and then they make the movie in 68. But they bring Jack Lemmon in, which is interesting.
And they had made Fortune Cookie together at that point.
66.
I don't know that that's why they brought him in, or if it was just, I don't know why Jack Lemmon ends up. They cast Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, they'd be paired up with him.
But the fact, it's you know, like anything, a collaboration. I'm sure it's this way in some kind of business collaboration too. I'm not in that. I'm not in business, so I can't speak to that. But as a musician, as someone who you know loves and obsessed with cinema, who's made short films, who's casted actors, you know, and stuff like that, there's something beautiful about chemistry between people.
Well, we just talked about your junior film. I remember being on set of your junior film, because we all worked on our each other's films, and your cast had such a chemistry.
Yeah.
I said to myself shit, I'm just going to write myself a movie to be my senior film and write it for this and that's what I did. I knew essentially who I wanted, because I didn't want to have to go through that whole process of, you know, auditioning. I mean, we did it anyway. We had to go through the motions, but I liked the chemistry that our actors had on those films.
We got lucky with a good group of people for my junior film, that they all came in. I mean, there was a lot of reasons why I cast them. Obviously, I thought they would be great in the parts, but it was also that when we met Kevin, who came in, who's the star of my junior film, and then one of the leads in Dion's senior film, he came in, and I just was like, you know what, this is going to be hard. It's going to take a long time, and this is someone that I wouldn't mind doing it with.
Yeah.
You know, like, I want this to be a fun experience, and he seems like he's going to be a good time.
Well, it's all about too. Yeah, how his
you don't want to be with jerk.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be with someone who you can have fun making a movie with.
And I remember his audition.
Yeah.
You and Aaron, you know, because we had to hire out. We're getting down a road, but
that also comes with, that's also part of personal chemistry. You know, like, you kind of, there's some certain people that you create a rapport with instantly.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of people that you end up becoming friends with, you know, because there's no effort.
Yeah.
And so the fact that, you know, and there's a lot of great comedy duos.
You know, but that's the fun thing, too, is when you meet somebody and there is no effort. You meet, you know, after a day or two, you get excited because you feel like you've known them for 20 years. You know what I mean? I've experienced that with you and, you know, other people where it's just instantly you connect with somebody and it's like, and it's fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, not to like toot our own horn, but, you know, we get a lot of reviews or comments, or if you read reviews of this show, Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers on iTunes, a lot of people comment on what they like about the show is us together.
Yeah.
You know, part of that is, you know, having been friends, you know, very close friends for the last 20 years, but that closeness of, you know, that friendship doesn't last that long if it wasn't for this kind of chemistry or rapport that we just have with each other.
Yeah, it's similar interests and
so, you know, you get Bob Hope and Crosby and of course you get a lot of the comedic stand-up duos like Abbott and Costello, which I think we talk a little bit about probably in the Frankenstein cast and in previous casts, and Martin Lewis. Yeah, this came up before last time because we were talking about Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall.
Arsenio Hall, yeah, you know.
But you get these pairings
And which we brought up. I think we brought up maybe either a week or two ago. It might have been on the Coming to America cast because we were talking about. I was saying how it's sad that that kind of comedy of the duo, the partners, is kind of on the wayside. You don't see people like nowadays. It's kind of, you don't see really. I mean, you do see sketch comedy still and improv, but it's when you have it distilled, you only have one guy doing stand up. You don't really see shticks.
Yeah.
You know,
sometimes you'll get there's I think twins.
Yeah,
that do an act together. I can't remember their names, unfortunately. But it's rare that you're right. It's rare that happens
nowadays.
Yeah.
You know, we're back in the day. I think it was because everybody needed to work when you're on a circuit like vaudeville. Hey, you have an act, we have an act. Let's put our act together. Or we work good together. We're friends, and then that helps you for a common goal. And it's funny. One guy's a straight man. One guy's the crux of the joke. Which is here. It's interesting which is debatable. Who is who? I guess you could say Jack Lemmon is the straight man.
Yeah.
Where
Well, this
Walter
is
Matthau
very
is the
different. Their dynamic is very different.
Well,
they're not comedians.
It's like
they're actors that have a talent for comic performing.
That's a very good point too. They're not coming to age. They're not a duo that is known for doing comedies per se. I mean, we talked about Walter Matthau. He does get comedic in his later half of his career, but certainly up until the mid 70s, the majority of his stuff was straight stuff. He would do the occasional Blake Edwards or like we said, the Neil Simon stuff. Same thing with Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon would do all straight roles aside from the occasional, he's an occasional, like Bell Book and Candle or the Apartment might be a little comedic. So it's interesting them coming together like that and then having
I guess all this is just a long way around. It's saying like capturing lightning in a bottle. You know what I mean? Like
how good the two of them are.
The fact that they would both exist, be acting, be of a similar age, be working together. Probably if you go through the history of cinema and you picked the vaudeville style stage acts that made their way into movies.
Yeah.
Like Abbott and Costello or Martin and Lewis. But if you take just the actors that got teamed up and then became that and did magic together on screen,
Bob Hope and a Bing Crosby in the Road 2 movies.
You probably could count really the great ones on one hand.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Certainly not too much. Probably not a full 10.
Yep.
There's not. There's Harold and Kumar, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Which, by the way, I actually love the Harold Kumar movie. But, in terms of that connection of actors that then could transcend the characters they played in one movie and have that chemistry, that relationship work in 10 movies together.
If you take the Road 2 movies where it's like the two of them.
Yeah, Hope and Crosby are the only other ones that come instantly to mind. I'm sure if we really sat down and we thought about it, we could come up with more people. But those are the only other two that instantly come to mind that I would think to add to that list.
I've been a big fan the past 10 years or so of Jack Benny. And Jack Benny and George Burns were best friends in real life. And they had their own separate shows. Burns and Allen had a show, him and his wife.
Well, yeah,
Gracie
but they
Allen,
were stage
and
acts.
Jack Benny. Yeah.
Burns and Allen.
Yeah.
Because they're, obviously they're
husband and wife.
They're an amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, both of us are a fan of that show.
And then,
their show together.
Yeah.
But that's an example of these guys were coming from stage.
Yeah, and they're going in. So you have, and then Jack Benny's best friends with George Burns, and then their wives are best friends. And they're an example. I think you could team up together and to the point where, who's the straight man and who's the comedian there.
Sure.
And then what's sad is we can bring up later on is that when you have the Sunshine Boys come in 1974 or 5, it's George Burns. It was supposed to be Jack Benny, but Jack Benny dies the year before. He dies at Christmas time.
Yeah.
So they quickly replace him with Walter Matthau. And that movie's a classic, but it feels odd to me because Walter Matthau, to me, is not of that generation. They kind of make him look a little older.
Yeah.
But he's not, to me, an equivalent of being George Burns. George Burns is already in his 70s or 80s at that point.
Yeah.
Walter Matthau's, 50 or so, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard to have that. And I would love to have seen what that movie would have been like if Jack Benny had lived and they had the two in that, because that's an example here of what we're saying. Even though they're both known as comedians, they didn't really work together so much. But when they work together, it's freaking hilarious. And those are the situations, if you ever watch their shows, those are where they cut up the most. It's like watching Tim Conway and Harry Corman together, where you're not supposed to laugh, but these guys make each other laugh so much, So it's when you have two actors like these guys, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, who aren't necessarily comedians, they do good comedy, but they come together and then they do these amazing.
Well, we were just talking about Gene Wilder and
Richard Pryor. Yeah, that's a great, and that's another great example. You're right of them. They've both done comedies on their own. They've done serious movies, but then when you have them together, they did a series of 4 or 5 movies together.
Yeah, just certain magic, and it's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's a beautiful thing. Aside from friendship, but in terms of actually creating art. Being a musician, there's something about when I, playing with somebody for the first time, or there's something magical to be on the other end of it. Being part, experiencing this chemistry. And, I had when I first started playing live in New York City, I had another band where I wasn't the lead singer. And for some reason, he played guitar and I played guitar. And even though it was my band, he was kind of the lead. He was the lead singer. But I don't know, just for some reason I never had as much fun playing guitar with anybody as I did him. And so when that version of the band kind of broke up and he left the band, it was kind of depressing because I knew it was not going to be easy to find somebody that just has that kind of instant rapport,
it's
chemistry
weird.
Together.
You see there, that's an example there of that was a professional relationship. You met him because you were looking at
Craigslist.
Well,
I needed a singer, and he sang, so, and he came in and auditioned, and I had fun playing guitar with him, and he was a good singer too, and so that's why he got the job.
Yeah, so go back 80 years, a lot of these people were put these two here, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, but a lot of the other people we've been citing were put together for that reason. They're on a circuit. They need somebody to fill a thing, and then they're like, you're good, you have a rapport, and they're put together for a business reason to be funny together, and then they become this iconic duo. That's what happened with Abbott and Costello. The Three Stooges had, Ted Healy first. He was the straight man, and they we don't need this guy who's abusive and a drunk, and we can do it ourselves. And it's weird. There's another duo which I just started getting into, which I love, called Wheeler and Woolsey, and they're from the 30s. They did a whole bunch of films, and one of the guys looks exactly like George Burns, even with the glasses. He has a cigar. What I like about their comedy, these guys, Wheeler and Woolsey, is they're not making fun of each other. It's not and that doesn't bother me, but I like the idea of they're not trying to get over, it's funny. That's an angle that makes the Bob Hope and Bing Crosby movies funny, is that as much as they're friends, they're always trying to pull one over on the other person, or get the girl, or they're playing the patty cake gang, or selling one guy into slavery, to get out of the situation. Where I like the Wheeler and Woolsey, where it's this, they're both trying to, there's no one trying to get better the other
competition.
person. Yeah, and you get that a lot sometimes, especially with Abbott and Costello, or Abbott's
and
straight
sometimes
man.
It just doesn't work. They put together Buster Keaton and what's his name?
Ooh, not Fatty Arbuckle.
No.
The younger guy. What's he got?
The nose.
Oh, Jimmy Durante.
Durante, yeah.
Frosty the Snowman.
There's an instance where they made a shitload of movies together.
Buster Keaton and Jimmy Durante.
Yeah, during the talkies. When Buster Keaton went to talkies. And they just got teamed up.
Well, they're looking for what would work. Yeah.
And, those movies have their own merit, but there's a reason why you don't know that they were,
the duo.
that they were a comedic duo
and,
that made more than a handful of movies together. It was because it didn't quite work. It was Keaton. One was a genius and had his own persona, and then to team him up with someone who was such a opposite.
Yeah,
sometimes that'll work, but sometimes it was they just didn't mesh together.
How many movies did they do?
I don't know. It was more than a few.
Like I was just watching for Halloween Pass not too long ago, so I taped. They had on Turner Classic Movies a night of the Bowery Boys, who I love, better known as the East End Kids or the Dead End Kids or the Bowery
they
Boys.
used to play that stuff on that show I was talking about.
Yeah, and the more but come to find out, these guys, they started out doing serious. They were kids doing serious stuff in the 30s with Warner and movies with Cagney and Humphrey Bogart. Then in the 40s, it became a shtick, and they're like, oh, let's just turn them comedy and we'll make comedy movies, like kind of like Ma and Pa Kettle. They did 48 movies together. Yeah. I'm like, holy crap! I'm thinking maybe they did 10 or 11. I mean, and they're doing, they're grinding out like 6 a year. So it's a lot of these. I guess when I ask you how many movies they could have did together, who the hell knows how many movies they?
I have to look it up.
As
much of a kind of Buster Keaton enthusiast, I'm much more interested in the silent stuff.
Yeah.
Once he gets into the talkies, I'm just not as familiar with the talkie stuff as I am with the silent era stuff. But in terms of Grumpy Old Men, so this comes out in the early 90s, 93. Now, Matthau and Lemmon hadn't been in a movie together since 1981, a film called Buddy Buddy, which I've never seen.
Yeah, I've never seen that either.
And, it's... I don't know. Obviously, when you look up stuff online, you never know exactly what the truth is. But from what I understand, is the guy that wrote this script while he was in film school.
Yeah, this kid who wrote Grumpy Old Men.
Mark Steven Johnson, who went on to write Jack Frost with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And then went on to direct a bunch of movies, including Daredevil and Ghost Rider.
The 2002
the Ben Affleck movie and the Nicolas Cage movie.
Yeah, which is that's it. And then I wonder how he got.
And he wrote the second. He wrote Grumpier Old Men.
Well, I wonder how he got this script into. This is probably the one that got him into the. How he was able to keep.
Other than a note that says that he wrote it when he was in film school, I couldn't find more to the story.
How he got into the right hands.
It was like when we did Highlander.
Yeah,
there was much more information I was able to find about the fact that this guy wrote this in school, wrote Highlander in school, and then what influenced it, and then his writing teacher was the one that got him an agent because he thought there was something to it. I couldn't find any information about how this ended up getting made,
because we could have wrote this and something like this in college. We were writing all this stuff.
He's from Minnesota.
It's the look of and that's hence is the reason why it has the great idea of using the ice fishing.
Yeah, so I would imagine that this was all coming from maybe like his parents or his grandma or new
first-hand
people,
experience of doing it. Yeah,
this community. I can only guess.
Yeah, I have people. For where you lived for a while, I know people from upstate in the New York area. North of Albany too as well, and they do a lot of ice fishing up in the Syracuse area. Sure. On lakes and stuff like that. This is the whole cottage thing, and this is so big in Minnesota, to base the plot around this. But this kid gets it done pretty early. That he writes this, and I don't know again the years also when he wrote it. Yeah, as well.
There's a tough one. This movie was a tough one.
There's not a lot of information. There's not a lot of stuff.
There's no retrospective documentary on the
No,
DVD.
There's nothing. I mean, there's really the only.
There's no Criterion version of Grumpy Old Men.
Yeah, there's very little information. I mean, you could say that they, when they say when they first got together, Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, it was like. No time had passed since the first time they did the scene in the Fortune Cookies. Fortune Cookies is a movie I saw either in middle school and high school, which I absolutely love, and I might even like that better than the Odd Couple.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's the movie's about where Jack Lemmon is like a E&G cameraman, sports guy covering football. And he's like on the side yard. What do you call it? The side yard line, 30-yard.
The sidelines. Yeah.
Sidelines. Football doing the CBS game, and then like the quarterback throws the ball or something, and the guy catching it runs into him and like breaks. He drops the camera, breaks his leg, and then he's going to the hospital. I think he actually gets himself knocked out, and he wakes up. His brother. His brother-in-law in it is Walter Matthau, and Walter Matthau in it is. He's very funny, and I think he wins an Academy Award for this, right? He earns him a Best Supporting Actor. But his name in it is William H. Whiplash Willie Gingrich. And that's Walter Matthau, is like one of these ambulance lawyers. Yeah. So as soon as Jack Lemmon gets to the hospital and wakes up, Walter Matthau, and you could tell, Jack Lemmon doesn't like the brother-in-law too well, and he knows who he is. He comes in, Walter Matthau, he's like, "We're gonna sue, we're gonna do," and so the whole movie becomes.
Which is something that becomes much more of a joke for unfortunate reasons that it's so true much later. You think of that in like the 80s,
Oh,
and the 90s,
yeah, people suing for all these kind of issues. Problems, yeah.
Obviously it's because we weren't alive when Fortune Cookie came out, but it just goes to show you that this is
this was still
litigious.
Yeah, but even back then it was still it's still
frivolous
being
lawsuits.
People be what do you call it, extorting it. So I love and it's been years since I've seen that, but then all these hijinks ensue because they're trying to.
Yeah.
Then he really rehearsed himself and all this other stuff, and they're trying to play this game and con. I love that, and then they do Grumpy Old Men together.
Yeah.
Oh, not Grumpy Old Men. I'm sorry.
Odd Couple.
Odd Couple.
Yeah, I can't remember who directed Fortune Cookie.
I think it's Blake Edwards.
Yeah, it might be.
And then they do a movie in 1970 or 71 called Koch, and it's Walter Matthau stars in it as an older guy, kind of like a Harry and Tonto situation that I think he also wins an Oscar for. But then Jack Lemmon directs him in the movie, and Jack Lemmon has a cameo in the movie, but it's Jack Lemmon's movie he directs him in. And then they do the front page, like we said. They do what's the movie, The Great Harp.
Yeah, that's after this though. I think
is that
95.
I've never seen that one either.
Harp.
Grass Harp.
I'd never even heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's a great pairing up. You bring these. I mean, and then also in this movie you have Ossie Davis.
Ossie Davis, classic.
Amazing. I mean, he lived in New Rochelle, which is 2 towns over from me, for like 60 years.
Yeah.
Him and his wife, what's her name, Ruby D. And then the great Burgess Meredith's in this movie too. Burgess Meredith, who an amazing career as like a lot of people, and that's the thing is like people know Burgess Meredith either as Rock. He endeared himself to a whole new generation of people with Rocky, with the Penguin on Batman '66. But then also people don't know is like his stage career is so epic. Evidently, he was playing these roles that people may know him for as a character actor, but in real life he's playing Shakespeare. He's doing Beckett on stage. This is an issue that you see a lot with Boss Hogg, the guy who played the actor, the guy who played him on the original Dukes of Hazzard. He was an accomplished stage actor. He was a guy that evidently he'd in his bathroom have a thesaurus and a dictionary. He learned 3 words a day. He spoke like 5 or 6 languages. He was a great Shakespearean actor, but he was typecasted as a Southern sheriff. What he was a judge, mayor of this town. And that's how people are going to know him. But then if you watch some 70s, episodic television. What do you call it? You're going to see him come up as different roles. So you have a lot of these guys who are great actors, but they get pigeonholed, playing a stereotype. I remembered now what I wanted to say at the beginning of the episode, but maybe if we have time at the end, I'll tell my story. So you have all these people come together, and it's great that it's filmed on location. It looks like a real street. Yeah. I love all that. I love it's snow. My favorite time of the year is like, Christmas and that era. So I love that whole aspect of, and they never really hit on, and I don't remember the sequel. We didn't watch the sequel. We should have done a darn double feature, like you said. Do they ever address what happens to the wives?
I don't think so.
Because in the movie, it's never really said. I would assume they both passed away.
Yeah.
I don't see them, divorcing or any kind of philandering.
Well, they do a very clever. There's this aspect. So, in a nutshell, in case you don't
Grumpy Old Men.
In case you don't know what Grumpy Old Men is.
1993.
Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon play these next-door neighbors who have known each other since they were children.
Yeah.
And they've had this lifelong kind of feud together where they bicker at each other. Deep down, you can tell that they're friends, but on the surface, they both feel like they're enemies.
Yeah.
And we find out that it's because of a girl.
Yeah.
Jack Lemmon's wife.
Who became Jack Lemmon's wife in the movie.
Apparently, before that, Walter Matthau liked her.
He was like courting her and something.
And so that mirrors itself in this movie because a woman moves in across the street to them, and Margaret, and they both fancy her, and she ends up kind of choosing Jack Lemmon also.
Yeah. So
you really feel like, man, Walter Matthau's gotten the shit under the stick.
Yeah.
In this relationship between him and this guy that were originally friends when they were little, and they've lived next door to each other for decades, because he's missed out on the girl twice. But then I feel like maybe there's a very clever scene. There's a very clever exchange of dialogue
Well, if I pause you for a minute, if this kid wrote this as a film student, and there weren't that many heavy rewrites on it, it's a great script.
Yeah.
For a kid coming out, it is like to bring up the Highlander. It is a great way to get in there because it's so effective. How
it's a great premise.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how great this movie would have been had it not been the two of them. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
It's
I mean,
also
so much of it is tied into the fact that, one, as an audience, we love seeing them together.
We have to have that knowledge of them coming to it, or it's going to be very hard. You could do it, but it's hard. You're going to have to, in the first couple of minutes, set up who they are and have a save the cat moment so that you like them both. So that the what if here that I read was that they were thinking of putting either, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis together, but they hadn't teamed up together publicly since the 50s when they broke up their act and they went their separate ways. Dean Martin successfully had this amazing singing career, and then Jerry Lewis went and did all his great acting that people know and love him for. So they have them reunite, but what happened was Dean Martin's son was in the Air Force, died in I think a training accident in maybe 1990 or 89, and that really messed Dean Martin up, and it affected his health as well. So when you get around to this movie in 92-ish, Dean Martin's health is in a severe decline, and he ends up dying I think in 95 or 6. So they say one of the reasons they don't sign on to do the movie, the two of them, is because of Dean Martin's declining health.
Sure.
But you could very easily, maybe that would have worked together. But I don't know how, because Dean Martin to me isn't like, I know him with in the Cannonball Run years, with Sammy Davis Jr. yucking it up. It's a kind of a different animal when you see him doing his 60s stuff with either in the original
it would have been
Rat Pack.
It would have been odd.
I would feel like it would have been forced.
It would have been a stretch to try to imagine him in this part.
And then Jerry Lewis
the bulk of his career was the handsome
Dean Martin.
Yeah. I'm sure the movies he did on his own without Jerry Lewis were kind of tongue-in-cheek, but he was the ladies' man or some kind of secret agent.
Yeah, he did this series of 68 movie. Yeah, exactly.
There was, so to imagine him as this crotchety old man, I think it would have been easier. It would have been easier to imagine Jerry Lewis in this part as one of these guys.
Yeah.
Than because he was a crotch.
Yeah, exactly.
like a Grinch. So in real life.
And then I don't know who else you could have.
Yeah.
So
my point is, yes, I mean it's a good script, but who knows how? It's tough to imagine how well it would have worked had it not had these two guys in it. Because you can see from the outtakes that a lot of it is kind of the stuff that's improvised.
That's another thing that I remember about this movie growing up is that it had that outtakes reel.
But there's something about them. Even I was working on a script, and our friend Aaron had read it, and he had issues. He was giving me notes on the script. He has issues, and I was saying with the script, I said, yeah, but once it's cast, who knows? This it'll take on a life of its own once you cast it.
Yeah, but sometimes our friend Aaron just argues to argue.
Yeah,
he'll do that just.
But I think that's true with movies, especially with a script. Is you could have a fantastic script, but if you cast it wrong, it might not work.
It might not work,
and you can have an average script, but you cast it right, and it's magic.
Work, yeah.
So it's hard to imagine. And I think you're right. There's the beauty of having established stars and established relationships in movies, like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, is that you don't need to do a lot of exposition. Like you said, you don't need to have this moment where we see them doing something and we, as an audience, like them. Yeah. Because we are going to see this movie.
They're bringing that back.
Because we like them.
Yeah, because it is Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, yeah.
There's some movie with Simon Pegg, and I was watching the special features for it. I forget what it's called. It's based on a true story. It's about a tabloid writer. And it's kind of a comedy, and Megan Fox is in it.
Oh, that
Jeff
sounds
Bridges
familiar. Yeah.
And
fairly recent.
Yeah, it was post Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
So and I remember watching the feature,
which is 15 years old.
The special features, and they're saying one of the reasons why they cast him was because the character is a real son of a bitch.
Simon Pegg.
Like the character that he plays.
Yeah, but yeah.
And so if you don't cast it right, the audience is just going to hate this character. So they felt like if they cast Simon Pegg, you're going to like them.
It's like
you're just going to like the character because Simon Pegg is so likable.
It's like Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka. We talked about that in the Willy Wonka cast, where Willy Wonka is such a dick. I mean, rightfully so. The kids are trying to steal his freaking thingy, but he's such a until he has to. You have to have a redeeming.
That's the beautiful thing of casting the right people and having one, established personas, two, having people that just have a certain likability.
Yeah.
You're right. Like, we don't have to have that save the cat moment, which, some of you people out there have read the book Save the Cat, but and some of you haven't. But it's like this moment of there's something that a screenwriter will have the character do something early on in the scripts, like save a cat from a tree or something, so that we as an audience know they're a good dude and we know we should like them. But here we don't need that, because when we go into this movie, we're like, oh, we love Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, and we love them separately, and we love them even more when they're together.
And then we have the dads, Burgess Meredith.
So we're in.
Yeah.
For many of us, it's the reason why we're seeing the movie in the first place. And for other people, if that's not one the reason why they're seeing the movie, you still have, most of us will still have this kind of predisposed, disposition to these two guys. The guy who directed it, John Davis, John Davis produced it, and he's come up before, and he might already be nominated into the Sleepover Movie Hall of Fame, because he produced Predator.
Sweet.
3 O'Clock High.
Sweet.
License to Drive. Little Monsters. Predator 2 Fortress.
That's two different movies.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, Predator 2, Fortress. I was like, what the?
Well, listen to this right here, just for this Christopher Lambert triple pack right here. Fortress, Gunman, and The Hunted.
You love it. Not the Antonio Banderas. The
Benicio del Toro.
Tommy Lee Jones.
No.
How does it feel to be hunted?
Christopher Lambert sword-wielding Hunted. And also Waterworld. So John
just produces.
He produced all these movies.
Yeah.
So he's already in my book. He's
already on the list. Donald Petrie, of course. No relation to George Petrie from The Honeymooners that I have a fan page for.
His first credit on IMDb is something that you would love. His first directing credit is an episode of MacGyver.
Do we know what season?
It's 1985.
So that's season 1.
Trumbo's World.
I'll have to go look that up.
Is the name of the episode. He also directed episodes of Amazing Stories. So he's coming out of a television directing background, but then he goes on to direct Mystic Pizza in 1988.
Yeah, that's a big one.
And then post Grumpy Old Man, there's other things, but I just picked out a couple of the names that I think some of us might know. Miss Congeniality, which I think is a Sandra Bullock movie, in 2000. And then...
so Trumbo's World, as I had a researcher do a little work on it, it is about... It's a copy of... There's a really big Charlton Heston movie called The Naked Jungle from 1954, and that's about a plantation owner in Africa, I think it is, and they get surrounded by one of those big bands of those killer ants that'll eat anything, you have to divert. So in The Naked Jungle, the idea is like Heston, big, does a big moat around his property, and we got to divert and put water in because the ants are coming. And this is what Trumbo's World is. It's a TV version of MacGyver was one of those that did that brilliantly. Where if that movie that I love, that I think you like too, which maybe we can get to one day, called the Shoot to Kill. With Tom Berenger and Sidney Poitier comes out, they do an episode where it's the same thing, where MacGyver's bringing people through the you don't know what of them killer.
Wages of Fear episode of MacGyver. Is there a Don't Mess with the Nitro episode?
There might be. As you think about it, there's like a Hannibal Lecter episode. There's a couple Hannibal Lecters. There's a couple of There's a couple episodes that mirror real movies. So Trumbo's World was that episode, season 1, where they were looking for, and I don't know where they got the B footage, but it's like, he has to go help. There's this, and then they get stuck on this plantation and the ants are coming in MacGyver. You see that in the opening sequences where he's running and he's got like homemade hazmat suit on. He's taking it off and he's got ants on him. He's I love that. Don't get me started. I don't know how we got to MacGyver on Grumpy Old Men.
Because the guy directed that episode.
So that's Trumbo's World. So
and of course the music is by the great Alan Silvestri.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's kind of a piano score, and it automatically reminded me of like 80s Who Framed Roger Rabbit, or just his era.
There's also a certain melody in the main theme.
Maybe that's what I'm hitting.
It doesn't go all the way, but it's
very reminiscent.
It's the same melody of like. Not the chorus of "Oh New World," but with the verse.
The horizon point of view. Oh new world.
Yeah, that's
it's me playing it on my. That's on my. What do you call that?
Recorder?
No, the from the movie of He-Man. I'm trying to open the portal.
The key.
Yeah, the
cosmic key.
You gotta use cosmic key.
There's a section of that melody that is like and every time it would come on while we were watching it was in my head. I was like, what is that?
It's one of them.
But Alan Silvestri, he was I believe he did Back to the Future.
Yeah, we did him this year. We did him last year because we did Roger Rabbit. He's done a huge.
He's one of the great ones. I think he just recently did. I think he may have done.
Did he do Beauty and the Beast last year? Did he do the? I know what's his face did the book, the song book. Who died? What's his name?
Rice?
No, close. But anyway, we digress.
But I think he just recently did Ready Player One.
Oh, okay. Because of the Spielberg connection,
if I'm
maybe?
not mistaken.
Yeah, which I still haven't seen yet.
But so Silvestri's great.
Yeah, I mean it's great. And then you have Dale Hanna.
He might have been on a bunch of episodes. He might have also done, I'm not positive, but he might have also done Dutch.
Silvestri? I'm sure.
Which was a previous Thanksgiving movie.
Yeah.
We started off the show doing Thanksgiving movies. We did Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
It's hard because how many are there? We did, that
Trains,
was the
Planes,
thing.
and Automobiles. Then we did Dutch.
Yep.
And then we took a break because I think we took a break.
We just didn't. We were like, we're
other
doing
Thanksgiving movies.
And we didn't press it too hard because we had our staples of
we were coming
Christmas
out of Halloween
movies,
and then we were going into Christmas.
So we knew that
and of course we're very big into Easter movies.
Yeah, we love our Easter movies. So and then how many movies can you find of it's hard to get a lot of Easter movies.
So when we were trying to think of lightening things up this year, we had a discussion about there's a Thanksgiving scene in this movie and Grumpy Old Men. Maybe we should do that.
He's done the Avengers movies, the Infinity War and the 2012 Avengers.
Silvestri.
Back to the Future, the Captain America First Avenger, Ready Player One, Forrest Gump, Polar Express, Original Predator, the new Avengers is coming out, Castaway, Romancing the Stone.
I forgot he did the Original Predator. For some reason, I thought that was Jerry Goldsmith.
He did Van Helsing. He did Back to the Futures 2 and 3. He did Lilo and Stitch, Predator 2, The Mummy Returns, Night at the Museum, The Abyss, The Bodyguard, Beowulf, the one I said I liked a couple weeks ago, Christmas Carol, Death Becomes Her. So you're getting that not Rick Moranis. What's his name?
Have we done Rick Moranis on this show? Yeah, we was in
Ghostbusters. What's his name? The director who did Zemeckis. That's the Zemeckis.
He did Beowulf and Train movie too, right?
Yeah, and Death Becomes Her and Christmas Carol, and Roger Rabbit. He did the remake of The Parent Trap. He did the original Delta Force with Chuck Norris. Did Father of the Bride, the remake with Steve Martin. He did Young Guns 2, Stuart Little. Got a lot of movies. Flight, G.I. Joe, the live-action movie. Flight of the Navigator, which we covered on this cast.
No Dutch.
The Stallone Judge Dredd, The Quick and the Dead. That rhyme right there. The A-Team live-action movie, What Women Want. Cat's Eye, which I just brought up 2 weeks ago. Made in Manhattan.
You might have just brought that up to me, though. I don't know if...
No, I did. I brought it up because the guy who plays the actor Rock... I brought up he was on it in the movie because we were trying to figure out if the landlord from Coming to America. Are we recording all this?
Charles F. Dutton.
Yeah. He was in. He had no lines in Cat's Eye, and he was with the guy who I said you met at Cabin Fever from Frenchie. But what else? Long Kiss Goodnight, Richie Rich, Contact. No, I didn't see Dutch, but he did a crap load of movies. Alice of History. Anyway,
Somebody did Dutch.
Somebody had to. Somebody wake up.
Maybe it was Horner.
Yeah.
Somebody big did Dutch. Dion, can we take a break for a second so that I can talk about something that's been on my mind?
Sure, Blake. What's that?
You know what Prince Akeem has that most of us don't?
A sweet rat tail?
Well, yes, that, but also financial security. And now that we're getting a little older, my ignorance about finances and the intimidation that comes with not knowing much about the stock market is starting to worry me.
It's a bit of a cliche, but there's an app for that.
What do you mean?
There's an investing app called Robinhood that lets you buy and sell stocks, electronic funds transfers, options, and cryptos. It's a non-intimidating way for stock market newcomers to invest for the first time with true confidence. And there's no commission fees.
No commission fees?
That's right. Other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade, but Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees.
So I can trade stocks and keep all my profits. That's awesome. But Dion, I'm not great with all this newfangled app technology.
That's okay because it's easy to use. The charts and market data they supply are easy to understand, and you can place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. And it is intuitive, so you can learn how to invest as you build your portfolio. And here is the best part. Robinhood is giving you and our listeners a free stock, like Apple, Ford, or Sprint, to help you build your portfolio.
Wow, that's awesome. Something tells me I should go to SaturdayNight.Robinhood.com to get started.
Your instincts are correct, my friend. Go to SaturdayNight.Robinhood.com to get your free stock and start investing. Today. And then the plot is that they live near each other, then next to each other, and then across the street,
the woman walks in.
Yeah.
Moves in.
And it stirs the pot because she is acting. It's not like she just moves in and that's the end of it. You know what I mean? She's looking, she's trying to be, come on.
She wants to be seen.
She's knocking on the door at 1 a.m, saying, I just want to use your bath. I mean, it's all like cute girl things, but still, you're like.
She's riding her
snowmobile
at 2 a.m.
Yeah, up and down the road. She's coming over in a bathrobe saying, my bathroom works, but I just want to use your bathroom at 1 a.m. just to so I won't be lonely.
Stink up my bathroom.
Yeah. I'm going to jump a dog. She's like, I had sushi for dinner, and I'm going to...
I had Indian,
I had some... I have
clean it up.
I have belly tummy now, deli belly, whatever you call it. So... Then automatically, of course, you have the two of them. They're watching like old people. Well, I do that now. I'm looking out my window looking at people.
Who's that?
Yeah,
they can't park there.
Yeah, what are they doing? hey, you gotta get a ticket. So that's basically where the conflict goes. That's the A story.
Yeah.
The B story, you got a couple B stories. You have one that.
But the piece of we got away from the. There's a piece of dialogue. We were talking about
the women dying, the mother, the wives. Very good point.
I was saying that Walter Matthau, you feel kind of bad for him because he's kind of lost out both times.
Yeah. Although at least he wasn't. He ended up finding somebody who got married.
Well, that's what I mean. There's this piece of dialogue, which I think is during when they're fighting, when he pushes his shack into this thing, and
he says, "Well, it was better for you because if you didn't get
there's this very cleverly placed piece of dialogue that's saying, well, living with what's her face wasn't all she was cracked up to be. She wasn't this angel,
Yeah.
He's like, yes, she was. He's like, I lived with her for 40 years or whatever. She wasn't all that great. And had you been with her, you wouldn't have married your wife, who was great, who was a great woman. And so I feel like. I would be very curious if that was in the script originally, or if at some point either on a rewrite of the script or while filming the movie they realized that
we don't address
they still don't really address what happened to the women, but this idea of course they have to reveal that why they don't like each other. But I feel like it's a very important piece of dialogue to say. Don't feel that bad for Walter Matthau for not winning the girl because
it's exposition.
He ended up having, he had a great relationship with a woman that he wouldn't have had he ended up marrying the woman that Jack Lemmon. And it also places it that like maybe Jack Lemmon's marriage wasn't all it was cracked up to be.
Well, yeah, I wonder if he's saying that on purpose to make not let Walter Matthau feel so bad, or if it's just he is actually, because they're arguing, he comes up with something he wouldn't normally say. Maybe there were kind of problems in the relationship, I'm not saying like fidelity, but some sort of like
when Daryl Hannah comes, he's like, oh, we're taking a separation. He's like, well, marriage, you got to work at it.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of work, and
you already feel like
there's also a line where she's saying, well, he's hard to work on it when he's never around, and he's like, well, your mother didn't.
Well, he gets into the whole thing where he's like, well, I wasn't around, and it's very clever because this is what I do or my parents do in a situation. You start talking to somebody, and all of a sudden you turn it into you, and he's like, well, I didn't want to work 2 jobs 7 days a week, but I did it for you. You and your mother.
There's a lot of very
and then he's like, whoa. She's like, this isn't about you, and he's like, you're right, but it's an intelligent script for many reasons. You're dropping those. I love the scene where you find out that Jack Lemmon's son died in Nam.
Yeah, very
subtle, very coming off of Veterans Day a couple of weeks ago. I mean, Armorist Day. It's so poignant, that because it's not mentioned, but it's big enough for you to feel the hurt and pain.
Yeah, and it's not important into the context of like the narrative of the film.
It just adds to the sentiment.
Yeah, it adds sentiment. It adds a little bit of baggage,
context.
It
makes dealt with loss,
a background. This, just makes it depth.
Yeah,
it just adds a little bit of depth to everything.
So Jack Lemmon's daughter is Daryl Hannah. Her husband in the movie's your guy who you bring up a lot from he's in Dutch.
Shooter McGavin.
Yeah.
Christopher McDonald.
Yeah. When I saw him in his cameo in this movie, I was like, Blake's gonna be talking about him. I nodded.
Another Midnight Run.
Yeah, exactly. From the TV show, right?
Yeah.
When they did
which
should have been in that box set. You talked about 2 weeks ago. Remember the pilots?
Yeah. That should be in there. But, let's put
Midnight Run on the list.
Let's put the original Midnight Run on the list for next year because I fucking love that movie.
Yeah. So they're having some issues. They have a daughter, but they're having issues. They were separated, and then you learn that they've been living. Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon have been living next to each other for all these years because then Kevin Pollak and Daryl Hannah, as children, grew up next door to each other.
Yeah.
And you have this whole thing where you could automatically tell he wanted to be with her, but he got dumped into the friend zone very quickly.
Yeah.
And then life went on. He tried to have a life. It doesn't even look like he was married.
Doesn't seem like he ever got married.
Or had kids or separated. She did, but then there's strains in the relationship, and then she even plays with him a little bit, saying like the jokes about, well, I left my window open, I left the blinds open a little bit so you can watch. Evidently everybody knows, no one's...
everybody knows when everybody's watching everybody in this neighborhood.
There's no everyone's leaving the blinds wide open and you're just sitting there watching.
He's watching the squirrels, Dion.
Yeah,
watching the squirrels.
At the beginning, I love that you have the Ella Fitzgerald song "Heat Wave" and the dichotomy of it, how cold it is the entire movie.
I love that when Walter Matthau comes out to get the mail, he's
singing "Heat Wave." Yeah, well, I like that they add that to like
he's not singing it to the music. The music is stopped.
Yeah, but it's in his head.
It's like,
so it's almost like it was
like he was listening to it in the house, and that's what we were hearing as we were getting
the diegetic. And then when he came out, he's still singing like "Heat Wave," which is, and that had to be planned. I like the idea that they're both driving.
It's probably ADR, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But I mean,
so we're going to use this song.
We don't. Yeah, we bought the rights to it, so we're going to have you sing this. I like that they're. Jack Lemmon's driving looks like a late '60s sedan. Walter Matthau is driving equally old. Maybe it could be a Range Rover, one of those all utility vehicles, all terrain. That are older. So
old
they have
Bronco or something.
Yeah, so they're similar in certain respects. Where Jack Lemmon was a teacher for history for how many years, so he's more of a numbers guy, so he's driving like a conservative, like a little sedan that goes him back from here to there, where Walter Matthau, I forget what he said his job was, but he's driving an all-terrain vehicle. He can go anywhere he wants. It's like, so it's like who has bigger balls.
Yeah. It's interesting because
even when they're shoveling out, poor Jack Lemmon's shoveling every day. He's throwing it at Jack Lemmon's car, Walter Matthau's car, and Walter Matthau can just pull right out. Yeah.
Well, he says he worked 2 jobs. Did they say what the second job was?
Jack Lemmon's?
Yeah.
No, but I wonder if it had to be something. And this is another thing where it's like I would love to develop this into like some sort of like have the two of them. That would be a great comedy show right here. You get like the '70s show, the '80s show. What's the Goldbergs to have a show of them growing up, of like at our age. being a mismatch. You could play Walter Matthau. I'll play Jack Lemmon. And it's them growing up with the kids, and it's like the Wonder Years. You have them as next door neighbors.
That seems to be the thing now. I see a lot of shows that are the Wonder Years.
Yeah, because people don't know what the Wonder Years
I wonder
is.
what the Wonder Years was. It was like the Wonder Years copying some show that we didn't grow up with.
I'm sure it is. If we had time to think about.
I mean, it may be Happy Days. I don't know, but it takes place in the same era almost of Happy Days.
Well,
because
now
you
it's
have
the '60s though, because it goes into it starts in the idyllic early '60s, which is still the '50s.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I haven't seen it in so many years if it's post or pre JFK's assassination, but it certainly goes through the Flower Child.
It might be the year
JFK's
that
assassination.
either JFK or Bobby.
That's '68.
RFK, because I think their high schools his school's renamed like
RFK.
Robert Kennedy or John Kennedy.
We just did a movie where they start the show. The movie starts with JFK's assassination, and we were talking about how that kind of ends. Well, yeah, maybe it was Halloween.
I
right?
think it was
because they're talking about
in the novelization. They're
it.
making a point
that it starts because that a lot of people will use that timestamp as the end of the Eisenhower idyllic '50s era, and then that's when the '60s, we don't know what's going on, into the turbulent '60s happens. So I love the idea that these two have been living next to each other for how many years they have, and they have this long history. You have Jack Lemmon's father is Burgess Meredith. Burgess Meredith is 95 in the movie. He's in his 80s in the when he shot the movie, and I love at the end when Jack Lemmon and Burgess Meredith or Walter Matthau are fighting. Burgess Meredith, the father, comes and tells him to stop.
Don't let me separate you two again.
And Walter Matthau's like, "Sorry, Mister." He says, his name. I love that there's still a respect for the kids. He's not, even though they're fighting. Jack Lemmon's always so nice to Kevin Pollak. And Walter Matthau still kind of vice versa. Walter Matthau, remember he's pushing him to go over that. Like they both want the kids to end up together. Yeah. I mean, it's to me, this is like my bread and butter. I love these comfortable, like how you want to live near them. You want to live next door to them. Like that it becomes very nice. I've been thinking about bringing this up. I didn't have the right context, but I guess this is right now. The past couple podcasts, because it's kind of funny. I have a neighbor down the hallway from me. I live in an apartment building, and at the end, this guy named Ed, and he's this old Irish guy. He's got a cane, and he's kind of crazy, but he's like, him and his wife live there. He's got a cane, and he's a dead ringer now that we've watched his for Burgess Meredith in it. Yeah. And he's got this Irish accent, and he talks. And I've gotten on his good side as soon as I moved in, and since I'm a young guy on the floor, he feels like when we go to these meetings, the board meetings, that like I'm sticking up for the meeting. So like in September we had like our annual board meeting, and he was, after the meeting, he's like, "Good, Dion, thank you for sticking up for us and all, the building, So then that night it was a 7:30. I said, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's all right." And then we're sitting in our living room, and our doorknob's starting to jingle. And I'm like, "What the hell?" And I open the door, and he's there, and he's like, "I'm polishing your doorknob for it because I wanted you. It's fucking brass. I wanted to." So he starts. So he's there polishing our doorknob. We got a new Halloween mat that had like our names and all that on it. He got polish all over the doorknob. I mean, the mat, bleached the mat. Mat's brand new. And you don't know. And then the guy, he's like, it's gonna take 2 weeks to. So for 2 weeks, he's coming over, and you just hear like and it's the door. He's polishing the knob, and then meanwhile he has this.
I'm sure Babe doesn't like it.
No, Babe's like, and then Babe knows who it is. He's like, "Oh, okay." But then the other thing with this guy is that he screams. He's got these people above him that he's yelling like, and he's screaming and fucking yelling. He's "Get that forward, what the hell?" And then in the summertime, what happens is he has his windows open. So we lived on the side of a park. So when I'm walking my dog around the block, you'll randomly start hearing him yelling. And the people in the park will stop and look up, and they think he's yelling at them, but he's just yelling at the people above, and So he's just nuts. So it's just so funny, this relation. I have this, he grabs me, he's like, "Dion, it's fucking." I'm gonna end this story here because this is going on too long. What ended up one morning, I get a knock on the door. I had lost a package a week before, and I put a note up saying, "Hey, this package was delivered." And, somebody must have taken it. Can anybody look? So this was the talk. This was scandalous of the building. All these older people like, "Dion's package. Someone stole Dion's package." So about a week later, I get a knock on the door at like 9 in the morning, and I'm half asleep. I open it, and it's him, and he starts yelling. He's like, yeah, I lost the package too. It's fucking it's money I get from Ireland, and it's gone. And then he starts talking about. He's like, he's saying he went to the grocery store, and we used to have Price. What the hell the name of the store is, but it got taken over by Acme, and he went to the new grocery store, and he was having problems with the clientele, the help there now.
Yeah.
And they're not respectful. And it's very funny because he's ranting at me at 9 in the morning, and I'm listening to him. But then as he's starting to talk about this stuff about the grocery store, it's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, where I kind of understand what he's saying.
Yeah.
He's saying, like, there's no respect nowadays. He bought something, it was off, he brought it back, they didn't care, and he was yelling, like, hey, I had to take a cab or whatever, I'm an old man, I had to bring this all the way back, and it went off or whatever, it wasn't good, and then they don't care that he did it, and he's like, what's the world coming to? And he's using this as a microcosm about the package I lost and the package he lost. So I'm standing there listening to him, but it was just funny because out of all of it, I'm trying to explain later to my wife, I'm like, he's making sense. It is kind of like the guy in Invasion of the Body. He's like, that's not my wife. Like, he is making, like I'm like, honey, I'm like, he's ranting like a lunatic, but he's right. He's talking about how the times are changing, and no one respects anybody, so. But anyway, that was so this poor guy, or my neighbor Ed, and he's exactly like Burgess Meredith, except he isn't dirty. That's my father's dirty. Yeah. But, so it's just, so it's like immediately I want to live near these people. It's like, it's cozy. The bait shop they go to with Ozzie Davis I love that,
Well, yeah, I mean, aside from, the fact that they got 6 inches of snow in, October or early November, it is like an idyllic neighborhood. And it's clearly, they have their routine, they got the bait shop.
It's very 50s.
And then you have the shanty town of ice fishing that's going on,
which is a real thing. A lot of people, this is a kind of a sport where people will go out on the frozen lakes and do this. And my wife, who's English, was asking, like, do people really do this? I was like, yeah, they'll have these people who are really into it will bring out these little sheds that are on, like, and they'll sit there and they'll make a.
And they probably, like, that's their spot on the lake once it freezes over.
And they're making a town, like, with the sign. The sign post is very, it's reminiscent from, like, the Korean War of, like, and it's in MASH, that signpost they have with the jokes of where Seoul is and stuff. Yeah. So it's all very true to life. This
movie does a really beautiful job of establishing the world.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Of course, there's aspects of the world that we probably all or most of us can relate to, but also just this idea, it's almost, like I said, it's kind of idyllic, and so it is this kind of world that you wouldn't mind living in now. You certainly wouldn't maybe mind growing old in.
Yeah.
And so it does set up, you want to be there.
Yeah, it's like this wonderful,
and it does it very quickly and very well, because it's,
so you don't have to waste the time on this exposition.
And
you already
all
know
this exposition that we were talking about before with history teacher, or I didn't want to have 2 jobs. All this stuff, very well incorporated.
Yeah,
because you never feel like, I always joke, even when we lived together, but even to this day I joke, there's some scenes in movies, I can't think of any specific movies, where a scene comes up, an exchange of dialogue, and I always say, like, they might as well just flash up the word exposition on the screen.
Yeah, because they're showing, it's not like that time you went to the thing.
Exposition. Yeah. And it's been really great to go through these movies of our childhood, revisiting things that maybe we haven't seen in a really long time, and see just how great screenwriting is. I mean, we talk a lot about this going back to Terminator.
Exposition through action.
But I feel like there's a lot of stuff. I feel like it probably comes up in Taken.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of it's beautiful to see the craft of screenwriting over these decades of movies that we've been revisiting over the last 4+ years.
Well, it's fun that when you have a movie like this that you go back and watch and it holds up. Yeah. And you enjoy all these aspects where the writing is so clever. All you need is that line, and then you understand the context of the situation. Or you're bringing these 2 mega powerhouses together, 3 or 4, and then since they're in the movie, we have that already. There are connections to them, so we don't have to have The story's already there. You already know what's going to happen as soon as
Yeah.
they both open their doors. It's like Statler and Waldorf, or a kind of. I think this would have been a great movie to do, like, say, 40 years before. You would have probably had a lot. Laurel and Hardy could have did it.
Yeah,
Maybe if Abbott and Costello had lived. Costello, I think, dies in the late 50s. But if maybe when they got older and they got a little wiser, they could have, well, not wiser, but they aged a little bit. You could have had the two of them doing it. You know what I mean? It's very funny.
Or Gleason and
Carney, exactly. They did Izzy and Mo, in the late '80s or in the mid '80s, which isn't a great film, but it's fun seeing them together. But that would have been again, great. Another pairing of the two of them, having.
They would have been great in this movie.
Oh, it would have been.
I mean, it would have been a totally different dynamic.
But it would have been fun if you
movie.
had not Art Carney playing the Ed Norton, but him playing himself, kind of, and then having. Jackie Gleason playing the Walter Matthau kind of a character.
It would have been Ralph Norton, but it would have just had those two.
Yeah, and it's
people.
hard. You could probably have like Don Rickles and maybe Bob Newhart. Like there's certain people who are friends that you might be able to have this fun connection, have it work successfully. The other B plot, which they don't really, is kind of thrust upon us, is this whole IRS thing.
Yeah,
which is kind of
which is how the movie opens.
Yeah.
It's like that B plot is the introduction. Our first scene, other than just like idyllic shots of the town and
with
stuff,
the heat wave montage,
is we got the great Buck Henry, knocking on Gustafson's, Jack Lemmon's door, trying to.
And I hadn't seen this movie in so long. I was thinking that maybe I didn't remember that it was. It could have very easily been like he's been trying to avoid him the whole movie. Then you find out that he has an inheritance or something. I thought it was going to be one of these with your corner. I'm like, no, I'm trying to serve you with papers because you have this money owed to you. Yeah. But then you find out with the IRS, it's this thing where he might lose his house. I mean, it becomes very because at the end of the day, you realize they both really sincerely care for each other.
Well, that's that scene in the hospital.
Well,
is great. I mean, there's the scene, everything, but there's this great. Well, I'm sure you want to talk about it.
No, I'm going to start crying now if I start talking about it because I remember vividly the scene on Christmas Eve where they have the fight and they go out and he has the heart attack. Oh, I'm going to start crying, and it's just so powerful,
Yeah. Dan's getting verklempt.
Yeah, it's just because you get older. It's like you realize. So it's like now I get emotional over everything. So it's funny. I hadn't seen this movie in 20 years, and then you think about it, and it's like I still remember that scene. I still remember him walking out and him falling over, and him coming out. And even if they're fighting, it's just it's so nice. It's beautiful.
And then the punctuation on that scene.
Yeah.
And the nurse is. He's like, is he here? And the nurse is like, are you friends or family?
Oh, and he can't answer. Yeah,
and he's like, what?
Yeah,
your friends or family? And he's like, friend?
Yeah.
Friend, I guess.
Then he goes
because they
in,
hadn't called him his friend
how
since
many
they
years?
were like 8.
Yeah. And then he goes in, he's incubated too, and he's he's out.
It's like this finally this moment where he has to recognize that this is probably his best friend.
Yeah, or he could lose him here or something.
And that this could be it.
Yeah.
And they've had this silly rivalry
for how many years, and
which in a way there are certain groups of friends that do just bust their chops, and that's their friendship. It's just being assholes to each other.
Yeah,
and you can tell that there's a certain amount of that. Definitely, it's not like some bitter feud, but it is this great moment for me. Was a great punctuation to him finding him in the snow, which was like this that he has to recognize and has to verbalize that this is my friend.
Yeah.
And that's the moment of revelation in the movie. Like if you're going to go into kind of the more script doctor academic version of it, this idea that you need to have a character change through the arc of the movie. Like that's that moment, that revelation,
the journey of him
is this. Walter Matthau's arc is that recognizing no, he is my friend, and then it's backed up by how much money does he owe? We can raise that, and locking up, boarding up the house,
so they can't get anything
take
out.
us into this third act, of this change where now he's fighting for this guy.
Who's incapacitated, he can't do it himself.
Who he pretended like he didn't give a crap about for 50 years, or plus, and now he's my friend, and then he ends up, and then you have that little coda at the end, which the marriage is like, my son who's now the mayor, he's got them to wave all the
the IRS fees.
He's like, and I took care of the $13,000 that you owe. But it's
still
it's
an
a
asshole.
loan,
Yeah, yeah.
But still,
I love the beginning when they're like, "Do you know who this guy is?" And Jack
Have
Lemmon,
you seen him?
And Walter Matthau just starts saying all these he's a terrible thing. He's probably out. What do you say? He's out.
One of those strip joints where they take off their where the men take off their clothes.
With the men take off their clothes. He's one of them. It's just so funny. These little. I mean, the lines in this too. It's you get Burgess Meredith in it. And have Burgess Meredith being like this crazy, crotchety old man, and that was a highlight. Yeah,
horn dog.
And it's so funny that
there is like this aspect of, because now that like Betty White is in her 90s or 100 whatever, they kept on trying to cast her as an old. There's something, for some reason, this idea of old people being sexual.
Well, I've heard that.
But like is comedic.
Yeah,
there's something. It's like it's a punchline. It's a joke for some reason.
I mean, I hear there's a place down in Florida called the Villages that it's a big retirement community, and I hear a lot of people will go down through my day job and do TV shows there. We'll do like a show on location at this place, and evidently they're all swinging.
Yeah,
there's
a lot of like rampant. STDs,
yeah,
and
because people aren't. That's what I was going to say. That from what I've heard, that this is the like STD capital of the world, because it's like they're like, hey, we're still interested in sex too. We're not. It's not like we can have children. Let's
I'm not saying that that old people
but
aren't
it's just
sexual.
It's just funny.
It's odd that it's
now
a
it's
joke.
becoming this
like
butt of
like a randy old person is always.
It probably goes back to the Golden Girls, you know what I mean? That too, that was with the mother, and they're all like looking. And to me, they're not even that old. I mean, when Walter Matthau in here is like, I'm 65, and I'm like, that's not that old. And my parents are older than that.
I think they're realistic. I think they are in their 70s.
Yeah, when they're doing the movie.
But it's funny, one of the first things I thought when we turned it on, I was like, is there any chance in hell that Walter Matthau's hair's still brown at that age? Or is he dyeing it? And if he's dyeing it, why? I mean, you do hear that there are older people that just
they
genetically just have
a good head of hair.
They just end up having dark hair, until they die. Their hair doesn't go gray. But it's like, is he one of those guys? And if so, is Walter Matthau really like vain enough that he has been dyeing his hair for X amount of decades or whatever?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's because he's not really.
It's not a bad dye job. I mean, when you look at it, it's not like, oh, that's like shoe polish. Or
yeah.
It's a perfect.
It makes you wonder. It could be real. It could not be real.
It could be natural.
Because Jack Lemmon's white. Yeah. And I feel like he went white in the 70s. I mean, he didn't go like Steve Martin.
Yeah, he started to go gray in the 70s.
Yeah, like in the Out of Towners or whenever those years. And then that became his look. Where Walter Matthau, to me, never really. He wasn't. When I look at him, I don't think like he's trying to like be conscious of how he looks.
That's what I mean. It's like, is his hair really brown?
Yeah,
or is he dyeing it?
It could be brown.
And if he is dyeing it, why the hell would Walter Matthau be dyeing his hair?
And we talked about him earlier on in the year. We did the Taking the Pelham 1, 2, 3. We brought up Charlie Varick. We brought up the the Laughing Policeman in our summertime episodes. He has a very amazing career. I mean, to think that he was a radio gunner on one of these like B-24 fortresses in World War II. All these guys, the three of these guys, have all World War II military service.
Yeah.
Walter Matthau served, and he was in the Battle of the Bulge, dropping bombs over Europe, and he's in the same company that James Stewart was in, because James Stewart was a pilot.
Walter, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's Jimmy's job. I'm flying a plane here. Yeah. Well, you better fly it right. Because we better get out of here soon.
That's maybe one of your best. I've never heard you do a Walter Matthau impression, but that was one of your better impressions.
It was hard because we did Taking a Pelham 1 through 3, and then that night I got the Walter Matthau impression, and I lost it again. I told you I had a Walter Matthau, but I dropped it and I lost it. And I was going to rehearse it for this cast, and I forgot until we started recording.
I've had people comment on like some of their favorite parts of the shows are your impressions.
My impressions of listen here, you son of a... Because she has this. She does once in a while. He talks like this.
Yeah.
Up your nose with a rubber hose. So to think that this is a generation. He's a radio person on a B-24. James Stewart's a pilot dropping bombs. Jack Lemmon was in the Navy. Burgess Meredith was in the Marines or the Air Force, but then started doing military. He did training films. And they're seeing combat, and they get out, and then they all get into work into the in the 40s and 50s. Burgess Meredith starts. I think his breakout role is maybe Of Mice and Men with Lon Chaney Jr., which is probably the same thing. I think that Gary Sinise directed and starred in. He did a version with John Malkovich, yeah. They did like a Steppenwolf Theater, which is the Chicago theater. I think they did the production on stage, and they took it and they did a movie out of it. And that kind of was my first, aside from maybe the Stand TV movie, that might have been my first exposure to Gary Sinise.
Yeah, probably mine too.
Maybe, I don't know about, maybe John Malkovich, I don't remember. But the original movie that Lon Chaney Jr. and Burgess Meredith in is very good.
It's great.
Yeah.
Because you don't really think of Lon Chaney Jr. too much outside of The Wolfman.
Yeah.
But he had a lot of really great parts. I mean, he's great in that. He has a smaller part, but in High Noon, he's in that.
Yeah, he's the sheriff. Yeah, that doesn't really want to get involved. Yeah, it's great, and that was my point earlier, where especially with Burgess Meredith, we know him as the schlock, as the Penguin. We know him as Rocky, and then for our generation, particularly or younger, the 3 or 4 of these guys now are endeared themselves because of these Grumpy Old Men movies.
Yeah,
but Burgess Meredith, like we said, he did. He originated Eugene O'Neill Huey on the stage. That performance, which I saw in the '90s, I saw Al Pacino do Huey on the stage with the gentleman Benedict, the guy who plays the doorman on the Jeffersons. The tall guy. He suffers from that disease that Rondo Hatton kind of had.
Yeah.
So I saw Pacino do that, but Burgess Meredith started that on stage. He was in around the same time as Of Mice and Men. He did a very big part in the story of G.I. Joe, which goes back to our G.I. Joe podcast. That's the Robert Mitchum movie that was on late one night that they said, hey, we'll just call G.I. Joes G.I. Joes.
Yeah.
He had he's in Advised Consent, he's in Harm's Way, just as Burgess Meredith. I knew him growing up too, as I forgot he's in the 1980 Clash of the Titans movie.
Oh yeah.
Remember with Harry, Ray Harryhausen, those effects and all that.
But also
G.I. Joe the movie, Santa Claus the movie. What is he? He's in all 5 or 6 of the Rockies, even though he, spoiler alert, passes away in the 3rd one. Right? They show footage.
He's probably,
or is it
probably
archival?
In some kind of. No, he's in. He's in.
Did they film new stuff for him for 4?
He's in flashback footage for 4, but I don't think he's filmed anything for 4. But then they did film stuff for 5
of him,
because he has these memories when he gives Rocky the necklace with the thing.
Yeah.
And then when Rocky's knocked out, and it's like, get up, you son of a... He has Rocky's having some kind of hallucination.
And he's got like a little head
in his dreams. Get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you.
That all of a sudden sounds like Jimmy Durante.
Because Mickey loves you.
Frosty the Snowman. So he had that. We talked about how he has a cameo in State of Grace. He's amazing. He's the apartment owner where he's like, I'm eating beans out of a can. He's very Charlton. I'm eating beans out of a can. But then his 4... he's in a very... It's funny because as we're recording this on a Saturday night into a Sunday. This Sunday night on Night Gallery is going to be his episode, Burgess Meredith's. And his episode is, if you've ever seen it, we're in the future... He's a bum. He's a drunk ex-doctor. And they find in an alleyway a medical bag from the future.
Okay, yeah.
And it's one of these things where he realizes that it does the surgery for you, since it's the futuristic bag. So he's going to go and he's going to get straight and because he's going to say he invented all this stuff in the medical bag. But his episodes on the Twilight Zone, he does, of course, we know him as the Bookworm one, where he's, with the post-apocalyptic bomb going off. Yeah. He does the one where he's taking pep pills and he becomes like he has strength. And then he has, there's one more which I can't think of the darn name of. But there's the one which I love where he plays the devil. You ever seen that one where he goes to the printing press, the newspaper in the town's going to be drying up, and he goes and he's like, if you hire me as your printing press guy, and he's got the crooked cane and the crooked cigars. It's very good.
I forgot all about that one.
Yeah, that's him in there. What's the other one? The other one is obsolete man. I don't know what he's a librarian sentenced in a dystopian future in that episode.
He says 2 library dystopian future. What?
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's
we're doing another one with a dystopian future in a library.
I'll do that. I don't know who that was.
Let's get Burgess to do that one.
And then Burgess was doing he cameoed on the Monkees as the Penguin, but in the 50s he was blacklisted, because of all the shit going on with McCarthy, so he couldn't work for a little while. But he got into
Andrew
voice
McCarthy?
work. Yeah, Andrew McCarthy was blacklisting people he didn't want to work with left or right. So, but he had a big radio career and announced it, and that's how he got into like him doing narration. He narrates,
which is
a lot
weird
of commercials
because
in the 80s.
He doesn't have that announcery type.
He has like a warm, older, like kind of comforting voice, but not as you would think.
It's almost like the guy who was it in. What's this Christmas movie we did last year with Dudley Moore?
Oh, The Night They Saved Christmas.
Was that Dudley Moore? No, that was Santa Claus the movie. The one with with Paul Williams.
Paul Williams and Art Carney. That's the Night They Saved Christmas.
The guy who isn't it the older guy in that? He's the guy that I might be mistaken, but I feel like he's the one that does the
Pathmark commercials. He just died, I think.
Yeah, but he also did
Return of the Living Dead.
No, he's not in that movie.
I thought he was the mayor. Oh, you're talking about the guy who did the Motrin commercials. He's like the
but the Cadbury egg.
Yeah, Cadbury egg, and he also does like one thing a new. Yes, you're right.
He has kind of like a warm, non-announcery voice, but did a lot of
tons
announcing.
Of yeah.
It's a long way around for very little payoff.
No, it's a very. I mean, we're the whole podcast is a compilation of us just walking around. To round out what's his face, Burgess Meredith. He did a movie you and I love called Magic, which I don't think a lot of people have seen. He's got a great.
I always
part
wanted to do a remake of Magic.
Oh, I would think that'd be amazing.
And I want to do. Unfortunately,
I'm the puppet, and you're the ventriloquist.
No, not us acting in it. I wanted to write and direct a remake of Magic.
Yeah.
And now that remake of Magic can't happen, so I can confess what the idea was. It was obviously Anthony Hopkins in the Burgess Meredith part.
Yeah. People don't know what Magic is. Magic is a 1978 movie, I think it is. And it's about Anthony Hopkins is a ventriloquist, and he's got a dummy, and he's very good. And Burgess Meredith.
Who's the woman in it?
I forget who the woman is in it. Burgess Meredith plays his star agent, and it's a very good movie because you don't realize it's almost like a Twilight Zone episode where Anthony Hopkins, the dummy's talking to him, and you don't know if the dummy's real or if it's all in his head. And then there's a great couple moments in the movie with Burgess Meredith when shit starts to go down. But it's called Magic. It's
and he
very
plays
good
like
movie.
his manager.
Yeah, he's like a star manager.
That's what I thought. That's why. And Margaret.
And Margaret, look at she's the.
That's why I was like, wait, who played the woman in that?
Right,
because I feel like there's a connection.
Yeah. So you're saying you want to do
Hopkins in the Burgess Meredith part.
We're talking about Magic now.
And maybe casting that most people wouldn't think, but I always saw Philip Seymour Hoffman
as the
Anthony Hopkins.
Oh,
part.
That would work.
I thought it would have been a really intense.
And you have Anthony Hopkins play the Burgess Meredith part.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
That would have been a great one.
Why can't we make that?
Because Philip Seymour Hoffman passed away.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I can't find anybody else that I feel like would really nail that part.
We'll have dinner. We'll think about it. We'll have breakfast. We'll come up with something for next week's episode.
But yeah, if that's right. And Margaret.
So that's a great, them working together for that. Let's see. What else quickly? He was evidently bipolar. Burgess Meredith suffered from that through his life. He had 4 wives. His first
that's much way before they probably diagnosed
it wasn't diagnosed in the past 20 years or so like that. So just he would suffer, I guess, from mood swings or whatever. But his first wife, she took her own life after the divorce, which is sad. And then he had 2 other wives in the middle, and then he had the 4th wife that he had that lasted 46 years of marriage. He's in people who know Irish music, Irish songs. There's a great band called the Chieftains, which I'm a fan of, and he does the traditional Christmas music and carols. He narrates a track in their song called "The Bells of Dublin," and I think he's in the music video, and he's in a Kenny G music video from 1994 called Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and he plays like a film operator in a movie theater. Burgess
We have
Meredith.
to keep all these notes for when we do burn offerings.
It's just I love, it's so he has a great storied career, and it's one of these people where you don't realize, people may remember him from one thing to another. I mean, Jack Lemmon also, he's a guy who got a start. He's got amazing movies: Glengarry Glen Ross, The Out of Towners, Tuesday with Morrie. He was born in an elevator, Jack Lemmon, and his dad was the president of a donut company in Massachusetts. And then he did a lot of stuff with Billy Wilder. The Apartment, Something Like It Hot. You know what? Fortune Cookie. I'm sorry, that's Billy Wilder. It wasn't Blake Edwards.
I was thinking it might be.
He did Days of Wine and Roses, The Great Race, That's Life, and How to Murder Your Wife is Blake Edwards. How to marry your wife.
How to marry
your ex-wife. How to marry an axe murderer.
I was going to say, because if you look at the great actor-director relationships, lesser known but equally as great, you think of like De Niro and Scorsese and
John Wayne and John Ford,
Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi.
You think of all these. Yeah, the lesser known, Billy Wilder, Jack Lemmon.
Sure. That's like me saying Eastwood and Siegel, Don Siegel, like the lesser knowns. He had a singing career, which goes back to last week's episode, Jack Lemmon. He put out his first album called A Twist of Lemon in 1958 from Epic Records. It was during when Some Like It Hot came out. And then in 59, he releases his second album, which is around Some Like It Hot, and I think it's called Some Like It Hot. And then he did a couple singles, which don't really, go on any records. They're just singles themselves. And then in 1960, he releases his third album called 63, called Jack Lemmon Plays Piano Selections from Ermela Deutsch. So he trained himself how to play the piano, and he had a singing career. So he did a couple albums by himself.
Tickles the ivories a little bit.
And then that's when it gets sad, when he starts selling the piano and stuff like that. He's also great. He wins Best Supporting Oscar in a great movie called Mr. Roberts, which I absolutely adore, which was a stage play first. I
always liked Jack Lemmon.
Oh, he's amazing, and it's a sad kind of a thing, because he brings up in 1998, he does an episode of Inside the Actor Studio, and he talks about how he was an alcoholic in real life, and that was something that I think got him an Oscar nomination or won the Oscar for Days of Wine and Roses.
Sure.
And he's won the Best Oscar actor for Save the Tiger '73 that with John Avildsen, the director, who's Rocky, right?
Yeah, Avildsen.
Avildsen, because there's a story where Burt Reynolds, evidently Jack Lemmon's so nice he can't even talk about people who are assholes in a nice way, and evidently Burt Reynolds was about to work with John Avildsen and said, how's working with him? And Jack Lemmon, who just worked on Save the Tiger, says, oh, he's okay. And then Burt Reynolds had a really bad time working with him, and he comes back, he's like, the guy was an asshole. And Jack Lemmon's like, yes, you can say that. So he doesn't want to talk bad about people. But he's one of the only people who have both won an Oscar and a Best Supporting Oscar, and that's only happened to people like De Niro, Gene Hackman, Jack Nicholson, Kevin Spacey, and Denzel Washington.
There's some story with him. I want to say it's with Wilder, and I can't remember. Unfortunately, I can't remember what the movie is, so there's very little context for the story. But there's some story where he's working with somebody. I think it's Wilder. And,
Billy Wilder.
And he keeps on telling him to bring it down.
His performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they keep doing it. And then finally he's like, well, if I bring it down any further, I'm not really doing anything. And he's like, there you go. That's exactly what we're looking for.
I think it's Billy Wilder had a quote saying, quote, Lemmon, I would describe him as a ham, a fine ham, but a ham you have to trim a little fat with. And then that's what he says. He says he has to try to, cut him down to size to what he wants. And he ends up having Jack Lemmon has a production company called JML, and that produced Cool Hand Luke in '67. So he puts out Cool Hand Luke, and then I don't know about this casting, but evidently because of the success of Cool Hand Luke, Paul Newman offers Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid to Jack Lemmon for him to play the Sundance Kid, which would have been weird because Jack Lemmon's a little older at that point, but he turns it down and they get Robert Redford instead. But he has this whole career, then he directs some stuff. He directs an episode of this movie called Koch, which he directs Walter Matthau in, and Walter Matthau gets an Oscar for that. I think that's about it. He's in that movie Missing from 1982, which is a big movie. He might have got nominated again.
Yeah. Also, I think his son.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Keep going.
I was going to say, I think his son is an actor, and was an actor that I think our generation would recognize.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Stuff.
I think I've heard of that.
I think, I can't think of anything offhand. I think he's in Just Before Dawn, the horror movie by Jeff Lieberman.
Okay,
but
guy did Squirm.
Yeah, but I feel like if you see him,
you'll recognize him. Yeah,
you'll recognize he was in TV shows.
Yeah,
he was just one of those faces that was just in a lot of stuff when we were young.
Yeah, he ends up like Kevin Spacey has this great relationship with him because Kevin Spacey worked with him a couple times before Kevin Spacey was famous, and he was asking a lot of career advice to Jack Lemmon, and then they end up working together, and then they end up doing Glengarry Glen Ross together, and then Kevin Spacey talks about like his mentor, one of his mentors is Jack Lemmon. And then there's this other significant thing which I wanted to bring up, which I remember particularly, is that they do a TV, I think it's TNT, do a TV movie for 12 Angry Men. And in Henry Fonda's role, they have Jack Lemmon plays it.
Okay.
And that year, he's nominated for Best Actor, a Golden Globe in 1998.
Oh, is that the one where Ving Rhames?
Yes. So Ving Rhames ends up winning, and I forget what Ving Rhames might have won for Don King. Yeah, the HBO movie, and he's phenomenal in Don King. Like it's definitely like something he should have won for.
Yeah.
And then I remember being touching. Ving Rhames accepts the award, and then has Jack Lemmon come up, and he says, "I can't accept this award because." Either because he's saying he thinks Jack Lemmon did a better job that year, or that Jack Lemmon is such a great actor that he's idolized. He has to. Yeah. So he gives Jack Lemmon the award on stage, and I think Ving Rhames is crying. It was very touching, and it was to the point where the Golden Globes award people
gave him one.
Yeah. They made another award to give to Ving Rhames because they knew that he gave it to Jack Lemmon. And I always thought that I remember that being such a touching story when that came out.
I think I remember watching it.
Yeah, we
might have watched it together.
Yeah,
because I think that might have been the year that might have been like our freshman year.
Oh, you're right, because it is 98. Yeah, and Don King I saw that when that came out. And I was blown away by his performance in that. Ving Rhames is Don King.
Yeah.
That HBO movie. So I thought that was very touching that he did that. That Ving Rhames is a good guy. So I mean, that's basically the three of them. Lemmon, and then Walter Matthau we talked about before. He did a lot of episodic television. His son was a director. He directed Walter Matthau. Son directed Walter Matthau in a movie or two together. And Walter Matthau, he gets into the comedies, and it's weird because we were talking about that 6 months ago. Like, at what point did he segue from doing serious work to kind of comedies? Because by the 80s, he's still doing serious stuff, but it's still like, I mean, he's got going back to like his, he's in.
Well, I mean, the thing is, with Taking Home with D3 is not a comedy, but he's funny in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a straight role, but there's comedic aspects of it. But certainly, he's not. It's Charlie Varick is a thriller, crime thriller. Laughing Policeman is a great crime cop thriller. But he's like Hello, Dolly. I forget he's in that. He's in A Face in the Crowd, that great Andy Griffith movie that Andy Griffith wins the Academy Award for in the late 50s, which is actually very topical of today's stuff.
There's something else where he plays a small part in.
He's in Failsafe.
I was watching, and I was like, oh, look, he's Walter Matthau plays this tiny part in this weird movie.
We brought up Bad News Bears. It's great. He's great role, which they offered to somebody else.
Do that.
Oh, it's great, yeah.
Maybe next baseball season.
Yeah, in the summertime we might do a little Bad News Bears. Let's see, there's a movie that I hadn't seen until much later in life called California Suite, 1978, and it's another Neil Simon movie. And I saw it in maybe 2003 or 4 because the guy I work with was like, you got to see this if you haven't seen it. And it's one of these movies where it's different vignettes happening in this hotel at the same time, so there's like a lot of stories.
Yeah, I think you've told me about it, but I haven't seen it.
I think it's Alan Alda is in one scene. He's arguing with his wife, and his wife might be, what's her name, who's from the Maggie Smith. Or no, maybe Maggie Smith's married to Michael Caine. There's all these different vignettes, and people are different things. Richard Pryor. Oh, it's Richard Pryor's in it with Sidney Poitier. You have a bunch of other people, but And it's one of these things where half of it's comedic, but then some of the things are serious.
Yeah.
And the vignette or the little, and they're cutting in between the two, all these different stories. And the thing that Walter Matthau's in, where it's like he gets to town, and I don't know what business he's in, but I think he meets his brother-in-law, and he's like, "We're gonna go out drinking tonight." He's like, "I can't go out drinking. I gotta call my wife, who's your sister, I think it is." He's like, "I gotta tell her I'm home." But the brother-in-law takes him out drinking. And his brother-in-law's like, we're going to get some dames and all these girls. And
Yeah.
Walter Matthau's like, I don't know if I can do that, So, you forget about it because all this stuff's happening in the movie. And what happens is the next morning is Walter Matthau wakes up with a splitting headache. He evidently went out, got hammered, blacked out, doesn't know anything. He wakes up. He gets a phone call from like the desk. It's his wife is surprising him there, and she's going to come up. And he looks over, and he's got like a 19-year-old girl in his bed next to him. And she's dead to the world because she's so hungover he can't move her. And he's like, ah! And he has no memory of how she got there. So he's trying to like hide her. And then it's like one of these hotel rooms.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's one of these hotel rooms where like the bedroom is a separate room. So he shuts those doors and his wife comes in.
I've seen that scene.
Yeah, and he's trying to like
something.
tell her to stop, and then like she wants to go into the bedroom, and she tries to lay down, so Walter Matthau put the covers up over the other girl,
yeah.
and then she tries, so he like falls, like he's trying to get her away. It's very,
I have
very
seen that,
funny.
but I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah.
I must have caught it on like Turner Classic or something and just watched it for a while. I have seen that.
Yeah, California.
But I don't think I've seen the whole movie.
It's a pretty good movie. I mean, it's one of those Neil Simon kind of like talking movies. It's fun, but that for me is the highlight of that movie is his performance. And then I remember in the 90s, remember he played Einstein in IQ?
Yeah.
Which is, and then
Meg Ryan in that?
Yeah, I think Meg Ryan's in that. He did a voiceover work for How the Grinch Stole Christmas, Dr. Sue Video Classics Presents. He's Mr. Wilson in the
the Dennis Menace,
the TV version of the movie. And then I remember I worked at a video store at the time. His last movie's Hanging Up. It's that girl movie with Diane Keaton and all the girls, and he's in it. And then I remember he died shortly after. I remember him passing away while that movie was still out in 2000. But it's this great cast that comes together. And then Walter Matthau, it's like he was smoking like 3 packs of cigarettes a day. He was a heavy, heavy smoker. He ends up having a heart attack in the 60s while, I think, doing the fortune cookie. So he gives up his 3-pack a day cigarette habit, and then because they have to stop filming for 5 months on the fortune cookie for him to recover. And I guess at that point, if that's 1966, he's only 1920, so he's only 45, I guess, when this is happening. So then when they end up doing Grumpy Old Men, he gets pneumonia. He gets double pneumonia when they're filming this movie. And he's hospitalized because of the cold winter there. And then there's onset of all these other health issues. I think he ends up having colon cancer, and then and he ends up having a heart attack the night he died. And then he dies in, I think, 2000. Like maybe July the 1st, 2000. And it's sad because he dies, and then within a year, Jack Lemmon dies. So it's like, there's clearly not a connection, but it's just sad that the two of them. But this whole movie, I mean, so the logistics of they have this 3-way where they're trying to get vie for Anne Margaret's attention, and Ossie Davis is great in the movie too. He's another character actor that and then it's sad when he passes away in this movie.
Yeah, well, it's they have that stuff where they're talking about dying, and he's like, oh no, I don't want a stroke. You could end up like a vegetable. Give me a card. Give me a
that's another funny thing too. They're hearing them like you die in your sleep or whatever, and which the best way to go. And it's weird because as we start getting older,
then the death comes.
Yeah,
and they lose Ossie Davis, and then obviously he does. Like Jack Lemmon almost dies of a coronary.
Yeah.
Well, foreshadowing.
Yeah, it's just sad because you start thinking about stuff like that. I mean, I've always heard for years people say as you get older, it goes quicker. Every day, it's just going quicker and quicker, and I'm starting to see that now, where it's just the days are flying, and like Halloween was just here, and it's already almost a month ago. It's insane.
I just turned 40, and I never ever even think of my birthday. Like I don't really celebrate it. Like sometimes I wouldn't even know it comes until my mom calls me.
Yeah.
On that day. Like,
or I'm 2 days later, I'm like, shit, I forgot your birthday. You're like, it's okay.
It's not something that I'm not a celebratory kind of guy when it comes to things like holidays and my birthday. But for some reason, this one bothered me. Because I feel like I realized that like.
Well, it's like hitting 30. It's like
I'm on the back 9.
Yeah.
Like 30, it's like, okay, I could live to 60. But like, I'm not gonna make it to 80.
Oh yes, you are. We're gonna have this podcast.
Not my family history.
Yes, you are.
Not all the stuff genetically that's going on in my family.
Yeah, but you know what?
I'm like, chances I'm going to make it another 40 years are pretty fucking slim. I'm on the back 9.
But you know what? It's the technology nowadays. You know, you could still be. You'll be still alive. I'll be in the damn hospital. Like, come on, we got another podcast episode. Yeah, come on, you schmuck. Come on, you schmuck. So it blends for a lot of fun.
And then Burgess Meredith has that little bit of dialogue in where he's like, when you get to my age, you stop thinking of it. It's not days anymore. You're thinking about it in minutes.
It's true. I mean, I forget I can't paraphrase it because I forget the quote, but someone said to me, the only thing that changes as you get older is like breakfast, because you start realizing it's so quick, Yeah. And I'm starting to see that now where it's flying. Like we've opined plenty of times on this podcast where back in the day, you'd have summer vacation was what? 2 months?
Felt like an eternity.
Yeah, it felt like a year. Or even a Christmas vacation. You'd be off from, say, December 23rd to like January the 1st. That felt like a whole summer. But it's only, 8 days or 9 days, at most. You'd have that 5-day week. Even weekends to me, like you live for the weekend. Then the weekend gets here before you know it's Monday morning. You're like, what the hell did I do? What I didn't even write, It's when you start getting to this age and you watch movies like this, you get very cognizant of all that kind of stuff. You said growing up when you were little, you remember watching PBS. I recognized the chemist in the pharmacy. When he's
familiar.
I remember him being, there was a math show on, it was a Dragnet type math show on PBS where it was like a guy and a girl and it was very dry like Jack Webb.
Yeah.
And he was the guy on it and it was a female partner and they would do math. There's a new show called like Odd Squad on PBS, which is very good, and it's young people and it's kind of like a Men in Black kind of a thing where all the young people in it, it's kind of like also Bugsy Malone where they're like the adults.
Sure.
And then they go to these worlds and they have like Men in Black where they have like there's like mechanisms and different technology they can use and stuff, and it's very well done for a kid show. It has a very big budget. I'm very impressed when I see it, but it's a math show. So, but I remember when we were little, there was this math show where it was this guy and it was a girl and they were like kind of math cops. I forget if anybody remembers the name of the show. It was called Math Squad or Math something, and they would come on. So I remember him in it. He's in this movie. We brought up last week. I brought up because I was listening to our Garfield podcast. They brought up the Garfield cat hangy thing, and I'm like, we can't get away from this now.
I just thought of that because you brought it up last week. There is one little note. I was in what little research I could find that in September, just a couple months ago.
Yeah.
There was some kind of announcement, and it ties into last week, is that they're maybe working towards a reboot
of this,
starring Eddie Murphy
as as you talking
as
about
one of
Grumpy
them.
Old Men, or are you talking about
Grumpy Old Men?
Coming to America too?
No, Grumpy Old
Now,
Men.
would that mean, because Eddie Murphy's going to be 60 soon? Would that mean they'd be aging him, or would he play him?
I don't know, because the article
he
was
still
under
looks
the
like he's 20.
the article was under the guise of like just like Hollywood, like
We're rebooting again.
well, rebooting, but also you can't have anybody too old, like ageism. Like even Grumpy Old Men is, he's going to be like 12 years younger than they were when they made it.
Why would you? I don't know. It's at that point. What's the point? Is that they're older guys, and I mean, I'm not saying he can't play the part, but if you're having a guy be a 50-year-old, like nowadays, every year, ages of thing in your mind, and
we'll see if it ends up coming to fruition.
That's true.
That was an article that. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Because we just did Coming to America,
and now they're connecting him to this.
Maybe in Arsenio Hall,
the two of them yelling at each other. So I thought the movie, it's fun. I mean, even like the old Right Said Fred in there. I'm a model. I mean, that was huge. That was like the gay anthem of like the early '90s.
Not just gay.
No, it was a crossover.
It was just like
anywhere you go.
I feel like one of the maybe in there was something one of the things that I did with Mike Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And there was a makeover scene, and I said all it needed was I guess it was the pilot of of
21 Jump Street.
21 Jump Street.
All you need was the
because they make Johnny Depp over from being a straight-laced cop to be a teenage kid.
So he can be
a cool kid.
Yeah, narc. Yeah.
And that's all I need is the right side Fred. I'm too sexy, because that was a staple of all kinds of makeover thing. And it was even, I had completely forgotten that it was in this.
Yeah.
Until,
I mean, remember the video? It's I feel like they're twins. Are they twin guys? Right, said Fred.
I
feel like there's more than one. There's two bald guys, and they're like, again, they're sporting that commando metal mesh shirt.
But I was like, not even grumpy old men had escaped the I'm too sexy montage.
you have that nod to popular culturism. You have the nod to Home Alone, where Jack Lemmon puts the cologne on his face and he does the in the mirror, because that was
and being for the film music people, when Walter Matthau finds the fish in the back seat, there's a little nod to the Jaws theme.
Yeah, and he picks. I love that he puts the and he's smelling the. It's like all that little subtle. He can't figure out what it is, and it's like he's asking, does he smell? I love Jack Lemmon's cardigans. I wear cardigans, and I loved his assortment of cardigans and stuff. It was like right out of my own closet. In this, the Otis Redding song, when what is it? I'm a love man, or call me the love, where he slides in doing the risky business, and he's dancing. And then it's another thing where we're talking about the diegetic sound, where you think it's just over the soundtrack, but then at some point he mouths that like, so he's into and it's so touching, the scene where he's out going upstairs and they have sex together. He hasn't had sex in how many years, so you wonder if that's have to do with the marriage. So there's a little black hole here of they don't really fill you in, and I guess you don't need to know, but maybe that makes for a better plot. You don't know where the wives have gone, and I like then that kind of works near the end of it, where Daryl Hannah and Kevin Pollak. So I feel like, since I haven't seen the next one in so many years, I bet you now they're an item in the new one. We really should have just did the
double feature.
Yeah,
We should know that Anne Margaret. I don't know how old she was when they made this movie, but she was still looking good.
Yeah, I mean she's kind of like still doing stuff now. I see her. It's like, what's her face? Also is still Doris Day doesn't really do much. She's a big animal advocate. Yeah. She's doing animal stuff, but seeing her do interviews once in a while. It's funny because I like the outtake, like the last movie Ronald Reagan acted in before he started doing, I think he ran for governor in California in the 60s. He's in the remake of The Killers. Mm-hmm. So there's a Burt Lancaster, which is his first movie, called The Killers, which is off the short story by Ernest Hemingway. They did a 60s version with, I think, Lee Marvin as well as John Cassavetes. And Ronald Reagan is the heavy in it. And in that movie, he slaps Anne Margaret, and it's startling to see Ronald Reagan slapping a woman in a movie. And so I like, in the outtakes, you have that scene where you could tell they're probably just shooting it. They don't need the sound. It's just Walter Matthau walking up and saying something to her, and then she lets him in the house with flowers. But he goes up and goes, "I'm Ronald Reagan. I used to be a picture actor. I wasn't very good, and now let me in." And she lets So I like that nod. And then this was another thing at the time. This wasn't the first movie to do it, because 10 years before you had the Smokey and the Bandit 2 and Cannonball Run's doing the outtakes in the commercial, in the credits. But this was the thing where I loved watching. This is probably the pay-per-view where I caught it a lot on pay-per-view. I loved watching the outtakes of seeing. I mean, it must have been like they just had Burgess Meredith just say, I don't know if they had a list for him to say, or he's coming up with all these. But I used to have, those were all part of my repertoire, like taking One Eye to the optometrist, or taking Jimmy to Tuna Town, and all that. And then I remember the second one where he's in the grocery store, like, I'm a doctor, and he's running, don't worry about me, I'm a doctor, and all that. Yeah. Him saying the dirty stuff, and Jack Lemmon laughing at it, and I like at the end when the fish, he walks into the frame to get Walter Matthau laughing, It's just a fun movie. It's nice, it's light. It just makes you think about friendships and life, and it's just comforting and nice. It's not serious. I mean, even the reviews when it came out,
there's serious,
but it's not. I mean, it's not. But kind of like, it's not dealing with like heavy-handed stuff. There's no politics. There's no they're not trying to make a statement. It's just, it's kind of nice and relaxing. It is like seeing an old vaudeville team come back together, the two of them doing their shtick together. It's, and they're seamless together. And I think you hit the nail on the head. It's hard to, you need the clutch to the script is having that interaction. I wonder if he wrote this, the screenwriter. Yeah.
Who knows?
But
even if it wasn't, it was
of
a stroke of genius for them to cast it this way.
Yeah, and it worked out. I mean, and it got them it got them a sequel directly, but then I'm sure Out to Sea and the
Odd Couple
2 wouldn't have happened had it been not for this thing.
Because it was a surprise hit.
Yeah.
It was one of those kinds of. I think we were talking about this with Taken.
Yeah.
Whereas it opened okay.
Yeah.
But over weeks,
people
it
started.
was like a snowball.
Yeah.
And the word of mouth, and I guess the critical response to it, it gained.
Yeah.
It gained popularity,
and it came out
in this theater as it came. It didn't open huge, but it ended up had longevity in the box office. So it ended up making like $70 million.
Yeah, on like a $30 million budget or something.
$35 million.
And it's a good time for it to drop because it comes out, I think, Christmas Day. So that's kind of the time where, back then especially, let's go see a movie maybe later in the day or on the holiday season. So it's setting itself up for maybe an Oscar or that kind of a thing.
And it's wintry.
It's wintry, perfect.
Just the way we try to
perfect for us. And like you said, it's ushering in the Christmas holidays. And I liked the end where Walter Matthau's looking to go do something. And he's like, he said, there's a dance on to the Daughters of the American Revolution. Look how old they are. He's going to see them. So it's just fun. We did. It's like we said at the beginning of the cast. It's amazing. This is our 5th Burgess Meredith movie. It's our 2nd Walter Matthau in 6 months.
Yeah.
I felt like we were doing another one. Did we say there's another thing in here maybe that's we're hitting Alan Silvestri maybe it was?
Yeah. And the producers produce stuff that we've done.
Yeah.
John Davis.
So it was a good fun choice, and it kind of gets us off those heavy topics of we love to hit.
Yeah, we kind of skirted around the movie a bunch, but
yeah.
Hell of a viewing.
Yeah, it's fun. It just has a lot of good takeaways from it. It's fun. It's like it's
a well constructed script. It's a well made movie. Sometimes movies don't always have to be flashy. There's just something that's solid.
Yeah,
it's solid, and that's really it works. And now, I watched it a few years ago, and now rewatching it again, it holds up.
Makes me want to go borrow this disc from you, turn it over when I get home and watch the second one, before I go to bed.
Maybe we'll watch the second one before we head to sleep. We just won't do an episode about it.
And then the one other thing to note too is if maybe we'll put it as an extra in the posting, but if you watch the trailer, at the end of the trailer for the movie, they have an outtake that they kept in where it's Walter Matthau in the tub, and he's like, if I knew they were going to have me do a nude scene, I'd ask for another $1 million, which is kind of funny. So, but it's nice. It's nice to see them acting. It's nice to see them that popular back then, doing a hit. A lot of times you get guys that are that age, they throw them in a movie and the movie bombs, and it's like, and I don't know how Out to Sea did or those other movies. I know the consensus was that Odd Couple 2 wasn't very good.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
It's that's the one where they're going on a road trip, right?
They go on. I think
they're
one of their
driving through the desert.
Is getting married, who I think, to my recollection, is played by Jonathan Silverman.
And you said you think that Neil Simon might have actually written this?
I think he might have written it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those things that was on HBO on demand, and I was like, Odd Couple 2? What the? I was like, what you talking about?
What you talking about, Dion?
He's like, I'm not even there.
I called you. I'm like, what? I'm not even here. I read...
and I watched it, and I was like,
wasn't
yikes.
Yeah, I remember it coming and going.
It was a sad one that was the one that went off on, but...
Yeah.
It's, I mean, look, it's
hit or miss,
perfectly
too.
worth watching.
Yeah, especially if you're a fan
when
of
you
them.
compare it to
This
the
stuff.
original Odd Couple,
Yeah.
or even Grumpy Old Men,
Or the show.
it just doesn't hold up.
Yeah. I'm reading the Ernest Borgnine bio some years ago. He talks about he did a run of the Odd Couple on stage opposite Don Rickles. I think it was in a Florida venue, and I forget who then. I think that means Borgnine played the what's his face? Not Felix. Felix is the clean guy, right?
Yeah.
Felix Unger.
Yeah.
So
Oscar Madison.
Yeah. So I think Borgnine must play Oscar Madison, and then Don Rickles plays the uptight Felix Unger. And I don't know how long the run went, but Borgnine talks about in his book that Neil Simon came up to him and said that this was his favorite casting that he most envisioned it would be, which is, because it's kind of, you wouldn't think of immediately them, especially Don Rickles playing the straight role when he's usually a comedian and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It would have definitely been interesting to see. And when am I else going to ever have that piece of knowledge ever? bring
would
up.
be able to bring that up.
Except in this kind of context. So, and I'm sure we'll get to another Walter Matthau movie. I'm sure we'll get to maybe a Jack Lemmon movie. Definitely a Burgess Meredith movie.
I sure wouldn't rule any of it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just nice. It's nice doing these nice little fun movies that are just like effortless and like there's not a lot of research.
It's a good movie to kind of propel us into the holiday season.
Yeah, because we're gonna have some fun holidays. Ring a ding ding. Blake and I are gonna come over and sing some Christmas carols. We should do a holiday album. We should do one of these things where we start. I guess it's all copyright infringement. We get sued because we start singing.
We could certainly try to find. It's actually not that much money to get the rights to record songs.
Ring a ding ding. We just
for $60 a song, we could probably.
And we'll just set up like Blake's over his house one night and he hears some carolers come over and it's Dion with some carols.
It's the Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers
Christmas special.
Starring.
And it's all like, Dave Goulier. Featuring. What's his name? Johnny, not Dan Cortez.
There's a person I haven't fucking thought about in at least 20 years.
It's just people. It's who we can get, man. It's who we were able to get.
I'm sure. Nothing against Dan Cortez.
But I'm sure we can get him.
But I'm pretty sure that we could get him.
Oh, we just all these different people. Carol Channing. And then that'd be fun. Maybe we can figure that out. But anyway. This was a fun one. I mean, we walked around There wasn't a lot to talk about in the context of the movie, so we were kind of all over the place. We could have got
a little more into it, but it's a sleepover. What do you want?
Yeah, we're sleeping over. It's tiring. We think we hit all the big points.
We just crushed a bucket of pizza.
Yeah, it's a Mega Jolt Cola.
And a 3-liter Mega Jolt.
You know me, I'm spiking my Mega Jolt Cola.
Dion likes a Mega Jolt and Jack on the Rocks.
Exactly. And then when I start getting salty, I've had too much. So, and then we're back in 2 weeks where we're hitting our Christmas episodes, and then we're already in 2019. It's
we got to
insane.
think about what we're going to do, because now we've hit a precedent of opening every New Year with
like a bang.
With something big,
Yeah, what did we do? We did Highlander this year. Last year we did Escape from New York.
Escape from New York was the first one that we really put thought into it.
And then, prior to that, we did maybe G.I. Joe or Transformers the movie. Night Stalker we did too. Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is one more. This is the story I was going to say, and I'm going to end it. I was catching up on my Man X. There's a show, great show that's now in rerun from the '60s called Man X, and there's season 4 opener of Man X. Darren McGavin's in it.
Yeah.
And Darren McGavin is playing a psycho killer in it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So this is why I wanted to bring this up. So this episode of Man X, season 1, episode 1, you find out that Man X, the show of Man X, he's a private investigator, and then that's the point of the show. He gets hired to find stuff, and that's how the show is. But the guy who does the show, Mike, I think his name's Mike Connors, he's very athletic. So the whole show is him jumping around and all this kind of stuff. So Lalo Schifrin, mind you, is also doing the soundtrack. He does the theme for Man X, and he's doing some of the stuff. This episode airs 1970.
Okay.
Dirty Harry's 71 for Lalo Schifrin time frame.
Yeah.
So this episode is that they were all in a unit together of, I'm thinking Vietnam or maybe Korea, and Darren McGavin is the nut. And now people in the unit are starting to die. And we find out very quickly it's Darren McGavin's killing everybody. So once they get together, someone's killing everybody, we better let the rest of the unit know. Mannix goes and tracks down Darren McGavin. Darren McGavin has a karate school that he's teaching young kids.
Sounds a lot like maturing candidates.
and it's almost like Cobra Kai. He has a karate school where he's teaching kids how to do karate, but he's teaching them like gutter karate stuff, and he's very, and it's so funny because Darren's got his hair grown out, he's got really long sideburns, and he's kind of crazy, and he's teaching them all this stuff, and he's breaking boards and all, he's doing all the he's doing all, you can try, he's really trying to. So then Mannix goes and confronts him, and he lets the kids go, and he's like, you're teaching the kids how to kill, you shouldn't be teaching them that way. And the whole time that he's talking to Mannix, they're cutting to cutaways, and he's like doing parallel bars, he's flipping around, he's jumping, and then it cuts to a close up and it ends with Darren McGavin looking at the camera. So it's so funny because it's supposed to be Darren McGavin doing these crazy. He's doing flips. He's doing like what do you call that with the you can hold yourself up on the two
parallel bars.
No, not the parallel bar, but like with the
rings.
He's doing rings. He's doing parallel. He's jumping, doing like 4 different flings. He's jumping down. It's a close up of Darren McGavin. And it's so. And they're having a conversation with this, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. So. My point is, then they have this big fight in the locker room where Darren McGavin put like tripwire out, and then they wrestle and tussle, and they fall into a pool. And Darren McGavin wants Mannix to kill him. He's like, you gotta, and then Mannix can't do it, so he lets him. He doesn't drown him, and he comes out and he's laughing psychotically. So my takeaways from this is Darren McGavin could have been an amazing Joker, a la like Heath Ledger.
Okay.
How he was. And then the soundtrack is it's all Lalo doing all the Dirty Harry stuff a year before with all the crazy kind of like, segments and little cues and all that. So it's amazing these performances fall through the cracks unless you're not a fan of that show. But it's these really amazing. Like we know Darren McGavin either as the old man from A Christmas Story or as Kolchak the Night Stalker, maybe some of his other roles, but you've never seen him as a psychotic karate school killer.
I certainly have never seen him
and
play
doing
that
all
part.
this physicality. So it's quite amazing. And I just the whole time I'm like, Jesus, this is amazing. So go check out season 4, episode 1 of Man X with Darren McGavin playing a crazy psycho killer with some great sideburns.
Gotta grab myself some Mickey D's breakfast on my way home and see if I can find that.
See if you can
eat my Egg McMuffin while I watch that before I go to bed.
Some crazy Darren McGavin. So we're in the final months of November. Next month we got 2 left, and then the season.
We're at the 2019.
2019 season 5 starts for us.
I think there's a Italian Escape from New York ripoff movie called
2019
Fall of.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
2019 Fall of New York.
Yeah.
Well, we might need to do that next year.
That'd be cool. Do like a little thingy of like, what's that, Bronx, Apocalypse Bronx or something?
Yeah, Bronx Warriors.
Yeah.
There's a whole slew of those.
Or those Italian post-apocalyptic thingies. But this is Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We've got our own site, Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. You can like us. You can check us out. You can message us. You can retweet us. Scored to Death. Conversations with some of horror's greatest composers. There's a book available on Amazon. You can contact me and get a signed copy. You can also Scored to Death the podcast. And there will be an announcement, Scored to Death related, in the coming weeks or months. So stay tuned for that. That's nice.
Dion, of course, has Blood on the Streets.
Yeah, I got a book coming out within a couple weeks. December the 4th, it's coming out. A Tuesday, book Blood in the Streets.
Makes a great gift.
Great stocking stuffer if you like crime fiction, police procedurals, historical fiction, a good thriller. You like 70s, gritty 70s cop police cinema. Check it out. It's going to be paperback, audiobook, and ebook. It's on Amazon. You can find Blood in the Streets as well. It's on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Please follow me there and check everything out. It's releasing very soon. It's very exciting. I'm also doing some interviews and stuff for it. So if you follow me, you can follow my journey of promoting the thing. And it's a fun time. So check us out there. Check our stuff out, and we'll be back before you know it in 2 weeks with another installment of Saturday Night Movie Sleepovers. And if you can't wait that long, check out our back catalog because we're almost like close to like 150 episodes.
You could be listening to Dutch or
Plays,
Trains, and Automobiles right now for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, all these other things we checked out, and then message us if you have any questions about stuff. You could probably get an autographed copy of my book too if you message me as well.
Yes, nice.
Yeah, I gotta start thinking about all that stuff out. So thank you very much for listening, and before you know it, we'll be back again. So until then,
later.